Hello, kids. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Happy to have you with us on this Wednesday, February the 5th, 2025. It is it's hit or miss out there. From a weather perspective, it's hit or miss out there. There are some raindrops already falling this afternoon, and we expect more of those to continue coming up a little bit later on. More on the weather forecast in just a moment. It's locks for Trump Day 340. For 340 full days, I've been growing out these luscious locks. For our man, 47, that would be DJT. He's currently on the stage. You know, I feel like maybe let me get through the pleasantries. It's episode 743. You can find us on a variety of platforms. We've lots to get into today. A subject that we want to get into today is being discussed by the President of the United States himself as we speak. Quite the scene at the White House, as in the East Room of the White House, there are assembled, a lot of folks have assembled to celebrate the signing of an order protecting women's sports. Donald J. Trump is at the podium. Let's join him as we begin the show and see what he has to say about the whole thing.
Mar-a-Lago, as beautiful as it can be, it was going to cost about $100 million. I offered to do it, and I never heard back. I offered to do it to the Biden administration, very active administration. They didn't hear back, and I said again and again, 3-4 times. I said to top people, and they just didn't know what to do. They sort of said, "This is good," but they had no idea. So I'm going to try and make the offer to myself, you know. Because we could use a bigger room.
I bet that was funny, right? If we'd have got in on the front end of it. Don't you guys? Don't you guys?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, he said some very funny things.
We could use
Hey,
at the
Weaver.
White House.
How are you?
It would actually be a beautiful addition.
Still hurting from last night.
I'll spend the whole thing myself.
Talk to you about that.
A big, beautiful room, but we could use it at the White House. You know what they do when they have a big ceremony? They put up a tent. And somehow I think we've outgrown the tent stuff, right? Don't you think? So we'll see if
Riley Gaines right behind old Donald Trump.
Yes,
the president. Good for her. I now know why Riley has not returned to my text from earlier in the day.
She's a little busy.
A little busy. From the radical left crusade against biological reality. On day one, I made it official, and I'm making it official policy of the United States government that there is, two genders. We have two genders. What might they be? Man and woman, right? Male and female. Male and female.
Yay.
Can't think of too many others, but it's pretty amazing. I rescinded federal funds and this is so important, to any program that promotes transgender ideology using taxpayer dollars. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. And last week, I effectively banned the chemical castration and surgical mutilation of minor children. Can you believe I even have to say that? I banned governor. I banned. That's just like, who would ever think we have to even say that? Last week, I banned. Every day, we're ending the extremism of the last 4 years. We have other things that are just as ridiculous, not having to do with the subject, but just as ridiculous. Open borders where people are allowed to pour in from all over the world, from jails and prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums, people that are very sick, people that are very evil, killers, murderers. Many of them murdered more than one person. And we have to justify the fact that we're moving them out. We are moving them out in tremendous numbers. Tom Homan and Christie are doing a fantastic job, and the governor and other governors too. But that we have to even fight for this stuff is just incredible. And the media doesn't want to talk about it because it's nothing they can talk about. It's just they just don't want to really talk very much about it. Serious problem, but we're doing a great job, and the people understand, and that's why we won in a landslide. You know, they made it easy. And at some point, we have to hope they do come around, because we can never let this happen again. What's happened to our country, we can never let this happen again.
A lot of females assembled behind the president.
Restoring sanity and common sense, very simply, to our
athletes,
government.
I'm sure.
Defending the rights and safety and pride of the American people, including our great, great, great female athletes. What athletes you are, too. Tell you.
Oh, yeah, he just referenced them behind him, to include Riley Gaines, amongst many others. All concerned with the concept of men interloping into women's sports.
Politically, it could end my career. They're really beautiful people. These are beautiful people.
Look out.
But you know,
don't sniff
like
their
everything
hair.
Else, it's a little bit different today. You're not allowed to say that, because if you call a woman or a girl beautiful, that's the end of your career. But let's take a chance on it, Mike. Let's take a chance. So I want to thank everybody for being here. It's fantastic. And this is sort of a big, big day. It shouldn't have even been necessary to take place. This started a long time ago, and we ended it today. And I'm going to sign the executive order right now, and everything I said will go into effect immediately.
All right, so there's the President of the United States of America preparing to sit down at a small desk with a presidential seal, getting a standing ovation. He is applauding the assembled female athletes behind him as he prepares to sign the executive order, eliminating the possibility. And I don't know the wording of the order, so I don't know how comprehensive it is in its coverage. Hopefully we'll have Riley Gaines on with us later on today or tomorrow. I put out a feeler earlier today asking if she would be available. I did not know the timing of the press conference or the timing of the executive order signing, but he is now. I'll tell you what. Let's pull it back up for just a second, Chris, because he's riffing. He's got little kids. He's got little girls beside him. He's got Riley right behind him.
Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay?
Oh, he's going to give the kids pens.
What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature, because this is, this is a big one, right?
Talks to the kids. He's talking to the youngsters.
Oh, I think we have a 10.
Does
we have a 10.
Does the Sharpie noise bother anybody else?
I kind of like it.
I mean, I don't mind it. It's kind of close to the teeth scraping on the fork, which
that really gets you, huh?
That one, I can't handle it.
Pretty good, huh?
All right, so much applause for the President of the United States putting that signature on paper and signing his executive order, and a lot of happiness and a lot of, I mean, folks, some are going to suggest that this is somehow anti-transgender. It is not. It is a recognition that if we allow biological males into female athletics, that female athletics will be destroyed, certainly degraded, if not destroyed as a result. That's all. And if you do not recognize that, you do not recognize basic biology. You're not dealing with, I thought the liberals wanted us to follow the science during the days of Anthony Fauci. Follow the science. And nowadays, they don't seem to be interested in the science. It is pretty cut and dry, and this should be the easiest of the executive orders to get through. And congratulations, kudos to the President of the United States. Once again, you can do this without attacking a group. You can do this without going after another group of people. And I have long said that I think that there are far more people that call themselves transgender than are actually transgender in the United States of America today, because sadly I believe that it has become cool or fashionable. And in some cases, people who are simply unhappy, young people particularly who have some sort of depression or whatnot, they gravitate toward that because they are led that way by many of these groups and organizations that make a tremendous amount of money based on that diagnosis. We saw it right here in Vanderbilt, at Vanderbilt University, the Vanderbilt Medical Center, several years ago, exposed by Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. In as much as they knew they were making permanent money for every individual that they transitioned, so they were predisposed to get them over there as quickly as possible, get them on the drugs as quickly as possible. You're going to start hooking them and making money. They're literally like drug dealers in that regard. Does that mean that some do not have gender dysphoria at some point in their lives? Of course it doesn't. Does that not mean that there have not been wires crossed for some people? Do we have sympathy for those people? Do we have, do our hearts go out to those folks? Of course it does. Society and civilization is not set up to accommodate every single thing that might come along as an abnormality. And don't tell me it's not. I don't use that word as an insult. I've used that word for years, and every time I use it, someone suggests that I'm calling, I'm calling names to transgender folks. I am not. It is your definition. You're the one that tells me that a mistake was made, not me. Does that make sense to everybody? That we cannot make accommodations for every physical or genetic abnormality that might occur in society, as minuscule as those things might be. We can't possibly do it. And sadly, the powers that be in the woke community decided that they could use this issue as a bludgeon. I don't think they anymore care about transgender people than they care about men on Mars. They use it as a bludgeon against common sense and against you and against me. I have sympathy for those who are genuinely going through this. And I would tell you that the people that I've talked to that are genuinely going through this, that are genuinely gender dysphoric, that recognize that wires were crossed at some point in the genetics of all of this. And by definition, if you tell me I was born with men parts, but I should have been a female, then by definition, an abnormality occurred. But if I say that, suddenly I'm the bad guy. Why am I the bad guy? I'm accepting what you are telling me as truth. But I will also tell you that if this is truth, then you should not expect that society will be designed for you. You should expect that there will be some issues that come up that you will have to overcome. We all, in some form or fashion, have issues that we have to overcome in life. And we all have to accept that there are certain accommodations that perhaps will not be able to be met, especially if your condition is more debilitating, either mentally or physically. And so this is a reset in the grand scheme that society cannot acquiesce itself and, by extension, hurt women, hurt young girls. And don't even get me started on those that choose to exploit these issues for their own personal perversions and peccadillos. And there are plenty of those. And story after story about perverse sex offenders that are using laws in various cities and various states in order to continue their perversion. Is that the whole? Of course it isn't. But we must protect against those that would do damage to our young people, particularly our young girls. All right, so that starts off the show on this Wednesday edition, February the 5th. Glad to have you with us. I would love to talk with you about this and any other matter at 615-737-9986. We do it on a daily basis. I was unable to fully engage with Ken Weaver and Chris Weber. Chris is behind the first set of glass. Ken Weaver, they put him behind two sets of glass in News Closet B. He gathers headlines on a daily basis, twice an hour or whenever it breaks. He's here for you. Ken?
Yes,
is he
sir.
back there?
Yes, sir.
I expressed to those involved that I thought it was rubbing it in a little bit last evening. But I will tell you this.
I'm big boy. I can take it.
But I will tell you this, my friend. With that 28-point drubbing comes lots of snacks. I have it on good authority. Had Oklahoma beaten Auburn, maybe not so much on the snack front. But because it went the other way, I wasn't privy to it. I don't even know if you were watching, but apparently at some point people were sticking their tongues out at one another during the Auburn Oklahoma basketball game last night.
Yeah, it got real chippy.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, Auburn's players stand at least a head taller than any Oklahoma player, and they were actually laughing as they were dunking the ball and blocking the ball.
That's not good. No, let's not do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, that's how it goes. You want to come to the SEC, do you? You might want to grow up a little bit.
By the way, Ken, may I speak for all of the SEC? And look, Chris Weber and I are Georgia Bulldog fans, and one of these days we're going to start a basketball program. I don't think we've had one for a while, but one way or the other.
I still wouldn't watch it.
Nah, I probably wouldn't either. You know, I've just never.
Don't like the basketball.
Have you ever, Ken? Are you into the basketball?
Yes.
Okay, you're in.
I'm digging it.
I'm into all sports. I just have never been able to get into basketball.
Now, I used to be, until the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I quit watching it. The game changed. I don't care for the game as it's played now. I never really watched college basketball. I was an NBA guy. But, yeah, the game just became too individual and not as much of a team sport anymore. It was more look at me.
I guess I don't know enough about it to know. When you say the game changed, fewer set plays.
It was, yes. It was more about, okay, I want the ball. I'm the star. I'm going to show off. Look at what I can do. And then they quit playing defense. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I just stopped liking the game.
I just
Too selfish.
You know what?
Sometimes you don't have to play defense like last night.
98-70. So, two things. One, I know this is petty. It's the same reason that I can't watch college baseball. The ping in college baseball grates my nerves. And we were talking about the Sharpie a minute ago and the fork on the teeth. The squeaky on the floors. I just look. I mean, if you can't get over the squeaky on the floors, then you're not going to be able to watch basketball. And I cannot get over the squeaky on the floors. And so I guess that pushed me aside. But I never was able to get into it. Every time I watch a basketball game, I think to myself, why don't we just give both teams 80 points, put 2 minutes on the clock, and be done with it?
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, right?
I could get on board with that.
I mean, right? I mean,
well, now, boys, there's endurance. There's physicality in basketball. You push people around. I mean, you get nasty in there. And Auburn's real good at it.
Well, they're the number one team in the country.
They're good, man.
For a reason, I suppose.
Their dudes are probably going to be going to the NBA.
Well, yeah, I would imagine. They're going to suffer for a successful season this year, next year, one would expect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the reloading goes. I don't know enough about it. I can't get into it. But one way or the other, there it is. I'm glad that Georgia doesn't have a basketball team. We don't have one, right? I don't think we do.
Yeah, you do.
Well, do we?
In fact, you beat us.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I just got more interested in basketball, kid. I don't know how that works, but that's how that works.
Yeah, it was pretty.
All right, in a moment, we're going to tell you what happens with the weather a little bit from now because it is coming into the Nashville area, and it could be a little bit severe. You just need to be weather aware today. We'll also update you on where we are on Donald Trump's announcement last night that we're taking over the Gaza Strip as a nation. Your thoughts on that? 615-737-9986. It's 24 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for the Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I want to talk to you guys or gals that have trouble sleeping at night. Do you snore? Has your partner indicated that you snore? That could be an indication that you have sleep apnea in your life. And if that is the case, sleep apnea can cause you major health issues you don't want any part of. Sleep apnea can cause you heart issues. It can cause you blood pressure issues and many, many other things can happen from a health perspective that we want to try to avoid. What if I told you there was an FDA-approved device that fits in your mouth, gently holds your jaw forward on a nightly basis? You don't really notice it. I compare it to a mouth guard in football, although it's quite frankly smaller than that, maybe like a retainer. If you're familiar with those. You don't notice it after a night or two, and it protects you against mild to moderate sleep apnea. In other words, you sleep better, you get more energy in the morning, and you don't snore nearly as much, and in many cases, not at all. That helps your partner out. Go to drposs.com. That's drposs.com to find out more. Like it's in network for most insurance companies in the state of Tennessee. Their two locations are in Brentwood and Murfreesboro. Let's call Dr. Poss, Dr. McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. I've mentioned there are two locations. One, if you're in the Nashville area and in L&L Market, right off of Charlotte Pike, and the other is in Franklin. So if you're just south of the city, stop by. When you get to the square, you'll see them right beside Gray's Pharmacy. Most people know where the big Gray's sign is. Right beside Gray's Pharmacy, there is Savory Spice. You smell them before you see them, because as you enter the door, you smell the delicious aroma of a variety of different spices, whether it be cinnamon or just a cornucopia of spices that hit your senses. And then you walk in and you can see the different spices from around the world, the different spices for different flavors and different tastes. So if you're an experienced chef or cook around the kitchen, you know that if you need to restock or if you need a specialty item, you get that from Savory Spice. Freshest of the fresh on the shelves at Savory Spice. Plus, if you're new to the kitchen, they can feed you baby birds and help you out finding the right spices that you need to stock your kitchen up, and things like the Spice and Easy line of products that can help you understand what spices go to what, and they make it as easy as pie in terms of cooking. Speaking of pie, they got baking goods as well. Savory Spice, once again, two locations. Say hello to them today, and when you speak to Holly and David or any of the fine crew at Savory Spice, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice.
Well, the TBI just added the subject of a manhunt here in Middle Tennessee to its most wanted list. We'll update you on that at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, and that's coming up in mere seconds on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ran a little bit late. I'll blame Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, had to get to DJT signing that executive order. When we return, I am most curious your thoughts on Donald Trump's announcement from last evening. We carried the press conference live on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, both of whom stood before the assembled press, and Donald Trump made the announcement that it was a possibility certainly on the table, and the plan was that the United States of America would coordinate a taking over of the Gaza Strip, a removal of all people there, rebuilding and restructuring that place, leveling it, getting it back up to glory, and then allowing individuals to resettle in that community. What do you think about that? 615-737-9986, either via the Super Text line, or you can give us a call as well. Just getting underway. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking the potential for severe weather this afternoon and tonight. Right now, looking at radar, we do have some areas of heavy rain west of Nashville, north of 40, moving this way. Right now, nothing severe, but the potential is there. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Robertson County, authorities say keep your doors and windows locked and your eyes peeled for anything suspicious, and call 911 if you do. They're looking for 39-year-old Jimmy Anthony Cox, believed to be dangerous, last seen near Fisher's Grove Road. Big search involving aircraft, drones, and a lot of cops and canines on the ground since Cox's stepson was found dead with stab wounds. TBI just added Cox to its most wanted list. And right now in our nation's capital, President Trump just signed an executive order to protect women's sports from having to allow transgender men to compete with them.
The actions we're taking today are the latest in a sweeping effort to reclaim our culture and our laws from the radical left crusade against biological reality.
Riley Gaines, Nashville's own, standing right behind him.
I want to thank Riley. She really has been in the forefront. People that aren't that well versed in this would say that she was the leader. And great job, Riley. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Trump fully expects lawsuits to try to block this executive order. Right now in Tennessee, a bill has been filed in the General Assembly that says health care providers cannot ask you whether you own any guns. Otherwise, they'll face disciplinary action and fines up to $1,000. Rickman Republican State Rep Ed Butler says the exceptions to his bill are mental health providers. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. I actually can't believe what I'm seeing. No crashes on the interstates, just the usual brake tapping going on, especially if you are east and westbound of 40 in between downtown and the 40-24 split. Nolensville Pike looks to be very heavy right there around Harding Place. Going eastbound on Harding Place over to Nolensville Pike, then northbound, or rather southbound, Nolensville Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So some people ask me, some occasionally will say, how in the world did Mark and the team at Safe House become the largest safe dealer in the Southeast? And I would say to those people, they're not the largest safe dealer in the Southeast. They're the largest safe dealer in the United States of America. Until I'm proven wrong, I've not found one that has a better selection. I've not found one that has better value. I've not found one that has better rebates. I've not found one that has better safes with better fire ratings. They are the top of the top, the creme de la creme. And Mark has worked for 30 years to make sure that that is the case. He wants to make sure that when you walk in, whatever your need might be, whether it's a biometric safe, a smaller safe, a jewelry safe, a corporate safe, or a gun safe of any size, shape imaginable, that they have it not just in a book somewhere. They have it in stock and ready to go and ready to be delivered by one of their professional teams at your home. That's what they do every single day. It's all they do. They do safes, they do vault doors, they do tornado shelters, and that's it. They are experts in the field. Go by and see them. Remember, gun safes are always sales tax free at Nashville Safe House. You can peruse some of the inventory by going to NashvilleSafeHouse.com. You can also stop by 4th Avenue South in Nashville, across from City Cemetery. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice. Welcome in. The Matt Murphy Show continues 38 minutes after the hour. We appreciate you being here. Anytime you're able to give us, whether it's a 5-minute span of time in your automobile from one place to the next or the full 4 hours, we thank you. We extend beyond in a live and local fashion that 4 hours. As a matter of fact, we start early, we end late. 5 a.m. we start. Actually, not Dan Mandis this morning on Nashville's Morning News. He was getting the second. I have a text out to Dan. Maybe we should just call him and wake him up. What do you think?
That'd be fun.
I had a text out to him. I wanted to see how the eyeballs were. You know, how round 2 went, whether or not he needed the old iPad. He had round 2 done.
Oh,
today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think Peepaw had some cataracts.
Yeah. So Snake Mandis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now he moved it. What was the movie where the guy kept moving his eye patch?
What was that?
Oh, what was it?
Well, I knew that Marty Feldman kept moving his hunch as the hunchback in Frankenstein.
That's true. That's true. But
what was that?
Oh, somebody on the super text line will tell us.
I'll look that up.
But Mandis is moving his eye patch, a la the film that none of us can remember, where the guy kept moving his eye patch.
There was a character in this last season of Murders Only Murders in the Building that did it.
Yes,
But
I know that
there
one.
was a movie. Who was that?
Where because he would switch it. I'd gum it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mandis doing his best to Dan Crenshaw impersonation. He's up. Call him.
Oh, you want me to call
I think we should call him and get an update.
Yeah,
I mean, look, people want to know. No, he's telling me it's a sucky day. I don't know. Well, get a sense of how he feels about it.
He might be stoned.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. He's probably on some sort of medication.
Do you have to get medication for that?
I would. I was a candidate for the LASIK surgery, Ken.
Yeah.
And I went through, and apparently one of my eyes has something that they could correct through the laser surgery.
Okay.
And I went through the procedure, where they test your eyes and do all of that. And the doctor in Birmingham came to me and said, I don't think this is a good idea. And I was like, why? Am I not a candidate? He said, no, your eye is a candidate, but you as a human being are not, because you would not sit still. He said, it's one thing not to sit still during the testing, but if I get a laser in your eye and you're not sitting still, because you're awake, right?
Oh, I believe so.
I know. I think you are. You're awake. And he said, I don't think it's a good idea. Your eyes aren't bad enough. Did Mandis decline the opportunity?
No, he says he's going to jump on the
I was going to jump on the thing. We want to talk to him, see what's going on. That's good. Everybody's worried about Dan and his eyes, but it was good to, in the absence of Dan, Chris shifted over to Nashville's Morning News and did that this morning. And then it was great to hear Brian Wilson on the radio again on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. He did 9 to noon. Normally the Chris Hand Show. Brian was filling in. I think they didn't call it overdrive. What were they calling it? It was a drive-by.
Yeah, the drive-by.
The drive-by, which is pretty cool, too. 41 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Everybody's worried about our man from Nashville's Morning News, Dan Mandis, and he popped on to give us an update. Hey, Dan.
Murphy Show, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you is the better question.
I'm good. I've got eyesight basically out of one eye. The other one still, though, the one that was had the procedure today, all blurry. So, and I'm not going to do the eye patch tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not entirely certain how it's going to go.
Wait, so you're not doing the eye patch because everybody was calling you a pirate, or what?
No, because the two eyes have to learn to work together.
Oh, I see.
So if I wear the eye patch, then I'm focused on the left one doing all the work, and now that the right one, even though it's really blurry right now, and I've already fallen down the stairs once.
So Mitch McConnell did today, too.
I was about to say
Me and Mitch McConnell. That's exactly right.
I like that, Dan Mandis.
No.
So, I'm falling in solidarity to Mitch McConnell.
Good for you.
Yes, but I need both eyes to work together. So hopefully when I wake up in the morning after I Uber to work, that I'll be able to see everything and see everything appropriately. I'm actually down here in the basement right now doing show prep, making sure that I'm ready for tomorrow's big
Oh, you've missed.
broadcast.
You missed one day in the era of Trump. Do you feel this way, Dan? You miss like 10 minutes, and you feel like you've missed 100 stories. I mean,
I am, every minute is show prep, because every minute, every day, something is going on. So I get off the air at 9, and by 10:30, I'm thinking, I've got to talk about this. I've got to talk about this. And so I will tell you, I don't know if you are watching the White House press briefings these days. It is must-watch television. I don't even know, does Caroline Leavitt, is it Leavitt or Levitt?
I go Levitt.
You go Levitt.
Yeah.
Okay, so Caroline Leavitt, does she even have a big book like Corinne Jean-Pierre had?
No.
Because she doesn't even look down.
No.
It is incredible. She is doing such an amazing work. It is like McEnany 2.0.
Oh, no, it's great. It's great to hear her. It's great to be assured that this president and this White House knows exactly the direction they're going, exactly focused on what they need to accomplish. And we're less than 3 weeks in, Dan. I mean,
do you know what's so funny? I was actually asking Amy today as I was trying to see the TV, and I said, how long has it been since Trump took the oath of office? I mean, admittedly, I was still a little out of it from the anesthesia, and she said it's only been 3 weeks. I mean, Donald Trump has gotten more done in 3 weeks than Joe Biden got done in 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a good thing when you consider what Biden wanted to do. And so Trump is doing amazing things. He's reversed a lot of the stuff that Biden has done. And now he's doing things that, a lot of people say are outlandish. I don't know where you're at with the whole let's turn the Gaza Strip into Mediterranean. But I mean, where I don't know where are you with that? Because I was when that whole thing went down, I was like, what?
I need more info. And I have learned, I said last night, we ran the press conference as it happened last night on Super Talk. And I said in the aftermath of the press conference, I have learned, if I've learned anything from Trump as president and from the 4 years where he was on the sidelines, is not to judge some of the ideas that he comes up with that seem a little out there until he fully fleshes them out. I've learned to be patient. But my first thoughts were, I don't want to send troops to Israel. I don't want to send troops to the Gaza Strip. And I don't think Donald Trump does either. And I'm not necessarily comfortable with the idea of America occupying any of that region. I don't know how that works out. At the same time, when they start flushing out their idea, I understand the genesis of the idea when you consider that for the last 100 years, there's been nothing but violence on that soil. And Donald Trump feels like we have to do something different. It's the old Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I think he's trying to think of a different way. And I will say this, Dan, I appreciate the fact that he recognizes unless you get everyone out of there and just dig that thing down to the foundation, get rid of the tunnels, get rid of all of that infrastructure that Hamas created, so that they don't have the ability to build that back up anytime soon. Unless you have the ability to do that wholesale, you're never going to accomplish peace in that region of the world. So, I mean, I appreciate the sentiment. I don't know how it works without sending American troops over there, and that just makes me very itchy.
Well, and the other problem is, and I don't, mean to be a Danny Downer because I love what Trump is doing, but at the same time, if they do make this into some sort of a I don't know, Mediterranean of the Middle East, okay, that's fine. But the problem is the spirit of Hamas and Hamas itself is still going to be there. So as they're trying to develop all of this into whatever development it's going to be, you're still going to have these terrorists that are going to be there in the Middle East. So I don't know how great it's going to be to put up big hotels or whatever it is when there's always going to be the threat of more terrorism. And so people might be afraid to go there unless you can take the tunnels out of Gaza, but I don't know if you can take Hamas out of the Middle East and the spirit of radical Islamic terrorism. You've got to destroy Iran economically. You've got to root out and destroy Hamas. And if you send all the Gazans, all the Palestinians, You can try to send them to Egypt. You've got to try to send them to Jordan. They don't want these folks either. And so they're still going to be in the region. So I appreciate what Trump is trying to do. I think part of what he does, and this is what makes him so brilliant, is that he makes these very bold proclamations, and then we'll see where ultimately he lands.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants these people because
no, and that's another. You're dead on, Dan. No, and it was one of the things that I wrote down in advance of the show today, is that the first part of the plan, if the plan is to get everyone out of that region and then to rebuild it and restructure it as a humanitarian effort, even if you say, look, from a humanitarian standpoint, we've got to remove everyone from this region so that we can clean it and rebuild it and make it habitable again, well, you have to find somebody to take them, and nobody wants to take them.
No. These people are by and large, they are either terrorists or they support terrorists.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
right.
You've got the leaders in Jordan, and you've got the leader in Egypt, and they've got enough of their own problems. They don't need to import, all of these Palestinians. But here's the deal. We give each of those nations $1.3 billion in aid. So if they truly are going to be our partners, then they need to figure out some sort of a solution. And Trump, okay, if we're going to give them $1.3 billion each in aid, then Trump wants them to truly be partners, and we do need to figure out some sort of a solution. The other thing that I like, and have you noticed this, Matt? The other thing that I like about what Trump is doing is that I'm noticing that his rhetoric is a lot softer. Mm-hmm. I heard him talking about Iran, and he put out a press release or something, and he's talking about how he wants prosperity for the people of Iran. He's talking about the folks there in Gaza, and he's talking about how he wants them to be prosperous. In other words, he's not making it about the people per se. His rhetoric is softer, and what he's doing is he's making it all about their corrupt and extreme leaders.
Their governments.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Regions.
So I love what he's doing.
No, it is good. I'm taking a wait and see approach about what I want to put some meat on the bones.
Yes.
Just to make sure that I fully understand it before you take a position. I'm predisposed to kind of disagree with it a little bit. But that doesn't mean I disagree with Trump, generally speaking, and I'm waiting to see what the master plan truly is. By the way, hold on a second, Dan. Chris and Ken Weaver, y'all see what Dan did? You see what he did?
What did he do?
I called him to find out if he was okay, and he can't handle it. He immediately started talking about stuff like news. He made the old pivot to the news and the stuff of the day. Dan Mandis is a workaholic.
He doesn't turn off.
He does not turn off. You are a workaholic, Dan.
All right, so now I have people hitting up my phone and my socials and direct messages and so forth, begging me, imploring. They want another day of Pirate Patch Dan.
Everybody wants an eye patch. I mean, look, everybody is calling you Dead-Eye Dan on the Super Text line.
Hey, Brother Dan,
good.
You need to wear that cowboy hat that old boy gave you at
you look great in that cowboy hat.
Oh,
you really
can
did.
you imagine bringing the cowboy hat and the Pirate Patch?
That'd be good.
Do it, man.
It would be good.
All right, I want the three of you to decide, shall I, for one segment, because Chris Hand is actually very much upset with me because he said, I just want to be with, Pirate Patch Dan, Dead-Eye Dan for one segment. So should I go ahead? I'll leave it up to the three of you, Chris, Ken, and Matt. Should I wear the eye patch for the 8:35 segment tomorrow?
Whole show.
I'm not.
Do it, Brother Dan.
Medically, poor Dan. Medically, kid, he can't do it medically. He's got to.
Okay.
He's got to get the eyes synchronized. They got to.
Yes.
They got to pull their own weight.
All right, Brother Dan.
All right, but yes, I think Chris.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Everybody's on board. 8:35. Dead-Eye Dan with the eye patch on.
Okay, very good. I know you're late for a break, so I'm going to go and I'm going to fall up the stairs now.
Dan, the beating. By the way, Dan. Up the stairs. By the way, you're not the only workaholic on Super Talk, because every time I think about going to work, I get drunk.
There you go. Okay, I understand that.
See you, Dan. Thanks
All
for
right,
stopping
thanks,
by.
guys.
Thank you, Dan. I really wanted just to find out if Dan was okay. And y'all, I mean, he's
He's always on.
He's always on the news, man. He is always on the news. He's like, no, I'm fine. I'll be good. I fell down the stairs. Let's talk about Israel and Donald Trump. Man, he worked. I mean, I don't know how he does it. I've seen Dan. For those who don't know, Dan has done. I mean, he does a lot of Red Eye Radio. So much Red Eye Radio that I can never do Red Eye Radio. I've done a couple of Red Eye Radios when Dan couldn't do the Red Eye Radio, but mostly Dan does the Red Eye Radio. So he does Red Eye Radio, goes right into his show from 5 to 9. But he has done Red Eye Radio, his 5 to 9 show, and then done WMAL in Washington, D.C., the noon show.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yep.
Insane. No wonder his eyes are going bad. Constantly, on go. Well, I'm glad that the surgery went well. I'm glad all is well. Watch him on the Super Talk television side of things, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, tomorrow morning at 8:35, and he'll be wearing the old Dead-Eye Dan patch. It is 54 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here, and I have a question for you, a pretty important question. How much have you paid for health insurance over the past year? And what did that really cost you? Well, Shane Ring at Cover Nash can tell you today the answers to those questions. Cover Nash wants you to know how much you have overspent in your health insurance coverage. And Shane is not a call center agent. He is a local health insurance expert in Middle Tennessee and knows that you do not have to pay for plans that you do not need. I've been in his office and I've seen the way that Shane does his business, and I absolutely love it. And I'm excited to tell you about Shane Ring. He sits down with you and you shop the entire health plan market so you know every health plan that is available and find the one that's exactly right for you. Cover Nash wants you to be informed about your health coverage as well. Do not wait until open enrollment. Let Shane find you a health plan that pays you and not the other way around. If that doesn't make any sense to you, you need to sit down with Shane Ring and let him talk with you about it, because health coverage tailored to your needs is possible with Cover Nash. Don't get taken advantage of and don't overpay. Take control of your money and your health coverage, managed by you, not by the government. Go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com, or call 615-465-0023. That's 465-0023 for Shane Ring and Cover Nash.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Do you know what happens when the warmer conditions hit Middle Tennessee? The bugs get a little, let's just say, randy. And they like making little bugs. And if you allow this to happen in your home, you're going to have a lot of little bugs in your home unless you have U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest Protection prevents all of that from going down. They're like your mama and them at the house when you're trying to have a date over. You know what I'm saying? They don't allow the bugs to get in, and they don't allow the bugs to do what bugs do and make little bugs. Whether it's roaches or stink bugs, whether it's ladybugs or silverfish, whether it's mice and other types of rodents in your home, you need full-service pest control from U.S. Pest. And right now, if you switch from another provider, they'll offer you the first month at no cost. That's a $200 value just for switching over to U.S. Pest. Termite protection and crawl space service available as well. Call J.K. Brister, Erica Brister, and the rest of the team and the one and only U.S. Pest. Great American company and fine people. USPest.com or 590-1260, 590-1260.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Tracking the potential for severe weather anytime between now and 10 o'clock tonight. Right now, we got some pockets of some heavy rain off to the west of Nashville, creeping this way. All of it's north of I-40, stretches all the way up into Kentucky. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, President Trump has signed the executive order banning transgender athletes from female sports.
So we are restoring sanity and common sense very simply to our government. We're defending the rights and safety and pride of the American people, including our great, great, great female athletes. What athletes you are, too.
Trump fully expects lawsuits to try to block it. Secretary of State Marco Rubio commenting today on Trump's suggestion that America take over Gaza and relocate Palestinians to safe places.
People who call that home will not be able to live there while you have crews coming in and removing debris, while you have munitions being removed, etc. That's the offer that he's made.
President's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, said yesterday it could take 10 to 15 years to rebuild Gaza. Here in Tennessee, state lawmakers going to be debating additional school security measures, like a bill filed today that changes standards for school windows. The bill requires buildings modeled or built after July 1st, 2023, and before this coming July, must have clear entry resistant film installed on the glass panel of every door and window, even if it's a basement of a school building. And a bill has been filed that restricts doctors in Tennessee from asking patients if they own any guns. If they do, doctors could face disciplinary action and fines up to $1,000 under this bill. There is an exception for mental health providers. And back to the nation's capital.
I will restore integrity to the Justice Department, and I will fight violent crime throughout this country and throughout this world and make America safe again.
Pam Bondi, after being sworn in today as Attorney General, confirmed by the Senate in a 54-46 vote. Senator Mitch McConnell fell again. Fox News says it was on a small set of stairs as he was leaving the Senate chamber after the vote confirming Scott Turner as Housing and Urban Development Secretary. McConnell fell down, was helped up by other senators. It's not known if he was injured. Whole Foods is asking the National Labor Relations Board to set aside the results of a union election that led to a labor win.
Attorneys for Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, argue the union involved with the election at a store in Philadelphia interfered with the process. Among other things, the company says the union provided free transportation to workers on the day of the vote. United Food and Commercial Workers Local, that pulled off the win, called the company's allegations baseless and aimed at delaying the bargaining process.
That's Chuck Severson and the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Tennessee Men's Clinic has 2 locations to serve you men in the listening area. I was talking with one of the urologists of Tennessee Men's Clinic just today about the service that they provide to men like you who perhaps are feeling low energy, and that low energy level has somehow drifted itself or manifested itself in the bedroom. if you've lost a sense of intimacy with your significant other, it can significantly affect your relationship, and it can hurt you psychologically. Let's be honest about it. Well, whether it's Midtown, where they've been since 2014, or their new location in Cool Springs, where they've been for the last couple of years, they want to see you. An appointment can get you as right as rain in a matter of weeks. Gentlemen, let's not continue this process of feeling down about something that you could deal with. Let's deal with it at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out more about the different options available to you, or make the call that so many others have made to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Here's the number, 615-208-9090, 208-9090 for the Tennessee Men's Clinic.
Lots of brake tapping on the loop downtown, no matter which direction you're going. I'm noticing 65 is backing up at the usual location. They're just right there south of 40. If you're trying to go east on 40 and match up with 24 there. East and westbound 40, slow going in between downtown and the 24-40 split as usual. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, nasty weather coming in a little bit later on in Middle Tennessee. Be on the alert for that. If you're at work now, getting off work soon, might be rainy by the time you get into your automobile. We'll keep you up to date from Ken Weaver in the Super Talk 99.7 WTN News Closet B. Chris Weber behind the glass, producing the show, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. My name is Matt Murphy. I'm your humble host and correspondent until 7 o'clock this evening. I'm a little bit disappointed in the audience. Little bit disappointed.
What'd they do now?
Well, I felt cocksure that we would get a definitive answer on the eye patch thing. And I don't think we've gotten it yet.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of comments, and I think probably the most plausible one came from Steve and Dan, and he said, Steve said, Captain Ron.
See, I remember Captain Ron, and I remember he would switch it when he slept.
When he slept, yeah.
But that's not the one. There's a scene in my head where somebody turns away, and as they turn away, the guy moves it.
Yeah, I seem to remember that too, but I can't place it.
But I can't remember where it was or when it was. One way or the other, if you want to see an eye patch, if you want to see a fellow with an eye patch, I mean, that looks good with an eye patch. I mean, Mandis is making eye patches sexy again. Dan Crenshaw almost ruined it, but Mandis is bringing it back, baby. He's like he's bringing what is
bringing sexy back.
See, Weber knew the answer to that, Kim, but I could see he's looking at me like I'm not going to say I'm not going there. But I knew you would have my back, Ken Weaver. That's right. Mandis is bringing sexy back with the eye patch and the cowboy hat.
Yeah, he needs to wear that cowboy hat.
He'll look like John Wayne did in What was a movie John Wayne had a patch?
True Grit.
True Grit, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
See?
True Grit.
There you go.
That's a lot of, what is the old, that's a lot of bawdy talk from a one-eyed fat man. Well, fill your hands, you son of a...
Why do you think they put him up there in that tree? Possibly to make him more dead.
What a great movie. That was a great remake, too.
Yes, it was.
Oh, yeah, with Jeff Bridges.
Oh, a fabulous
Yeah,
remake.
it was good.
Yeah. All right, let's suspend the talk about movies. We might get back into it and talk to our good man, Congressman Scott Desjardins, who is fresh off of the House floor where he's been voting in the House of Congress today. Representative, good afternoon. Welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. That was pretty entertaining, guys.
Well, we do our best. You know, when we don't have you Congress folk on, we're just basically talking movies and TV shows and eye patches and all manner of other. No, I mean, obviously, look, the last 2.5 weeks, I mean, Congressman, I know that you experienced Donald Trump 1.0. Donald Trump 2.0 is like 1.0 on steroids. What do you think about this administration in the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I think they sent a memo about how important his first 100 days were, and there was a typo, and it said 10 days, because I think he's pretty much hit that quota already.
Man, oh man, it's been going good so far. Let me ask you about this first. I mean, obviously, it's the story of the day until he makes more news because we're going at such breakneck speed. We had the press conference. We had the meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It's my understanding, Congressman, that you will be meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. What are your thoughts on last night, the comments by the President of the United States, and what can you tell us about your anticipated meeting with the Prime Minister?
Well, you know, a lot of interesting things happening in Trump world, and as you said, it's hard to keep up. It's kind of dizzying. We've gone from getting all kinds of calls about Elon Musk, looking into people's information, to building a resort in Gaza, to buying Greenland, taking back the Panama Canal, issuing tariffs on Mexico and Canada, and I think Trump's strategy is just to throw a ton of things at the wall. Some of them are going to stick, some of them aren't, but no one can keep up with him. And before something outrageous gets stuck in someone's crowd, there's something more outrageous to deal with the next day. But to answer your question on Netanyahu, certainly Trump and Netanyahu have had a good relationship. The Gaza thing, I would think, I mentioned all those other things because I would think that taking over Gaza and putting troops there is probably not feasible, but it may lead to some other type of negotiation. So I think he scares the hell out of people and then gets some other kind of.
Well, and by the way, Scott, I might have screwed that up because I was communicating with two separate congressmen in the state of Tennessee, and I know Congressman Kustoff is meeting with him tomorrow. You might not be, and so I apologize if that was weird to you.
I don't think it was on my schedule, but it's been a busy schedule.
That was it was totally on me. That was totally on me because we've got Congressman Kustoff coming on tomorrow, and they sent me something, and I thought it was from your guy, but that's on me. But the statement stands. I mean, I'm like you. Last night, I thought to myself, well, I'm a little uncomfortable with the idea of American troops on the ground, but if this is a matter of moving the needle in terms of the Arab nations around that region getting more involved and setting expectations on the part of the United States of America that they're going to remove the Palestinians and completely do a rebuild, then that's something that I can get behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trouble spot that isn't going to go away. I always say it's like a cancer. Unless you eradicate 100% of it, it's going to come back. And Hamas, unless they eradicate Hamas from Gaza, it's going to come back. So, I think he's got everyone's full attention.
Congressman Scott Desjardins is with us talking about the first couple of weeks of the Trump administration and what the House of Representatives is preparing to do and what they've have done to support the president's efforts. Talk to me a little bit about reconciliation and the possibility that it might not go quite as smoothly as we originally thought, Congressman. It's my understanding that some budget hawks in the House are kind of holding out for a few more concessions. I mean, we see this in the midst of a lot of activity going on with the DOGE program with Elon Musk and Trump's administrative branch trying to eradicate as much wasteful spending as possible. Are you expectant that we will get a reconciliation bill across the finish line sooner rather than later?
I think we will get a reconciliation bill sooner rather than later remains to be seen. I think that, I look at this term a little different than some of my previous terms. Tennessee's a very red state. I'm a very conservative voter. But I think that this is a national mandate. It's bigger than Tennessee 4, and I think we need to push forward Trump's agenda. We've just been through a disastrous 4 years where we, had a president that did less in 4 years than Trump's done in 2 weeks. And, is everything going to be perfect? No, but is he going to move the needle and move things in the right direction? How can he not? I mean, the country's literally circling the drain, whether it's economy, national security, the border immigration problem, fentanyl, you name it. I mean, everything was headed in the wrong direction. So, I think that our team needs to get on board. We've got people in our conference that, are holding out for a better deal. And I think the longer we wait, the more damage we do. We need to move. We need to trust the president. We need to trust the American people who voted for him. And I'm not saying that he doesn't need to be questioned, but it needs to be done so in a constructive fashion. And we need to do it behind closed doors and come to a consensus. And don't let perfect be enemy of the good. We got a lot of work to do in a short time to do it.
Obviously, he's been running at breakneck speed with the executive orders. At the same time, it occurs to me that Congress maybe is kind of looking at the executive branch thinking, boy, we need to go ahead and codify some of these things within the law so that they cannot be reversed down the road. For example, Congressman, I think it's a wonderful thing, the ceremony that was held at the White House today. Tennessee's own Riley Gaines was there in attendance, got called out by the president for her work in trying to protect women's sports, and he signs this executive order. That's something that I would think, man, the Congress maybe follow up on. Are there other matters that you guys are looking at from a congressional standpoint that you think very important to go ahead, follow up on, get it written into the law so that it is a permanent part of the American fabric as opposed to something that could be changed by the next president of the United States?
Yeah, as much as we can. We've seen that pendulum swing back and forth, whether you want to talk about the Keystone Pipeline. Trump turned it on, Biden turned it off. And, same thing with the Green New Deal and Paris Climate Accord and, so many other things that just from administration to administration, it flips back and forth. And so nothing is ever permanent or stable. And honestly, since, going back to Obama with his phone and his pen, that occurred because Congress quit legislating. You can't get along. You don't have the House. You don't have the Senate, or, you have half and half, and nothing happens. And right now, we've got an opportunity with the House, Senate, and White House, like we did in 2017, to get things done. And if we don't learn from the mistakes we made then when we accomplished basically the Trump tax cuts, then, it's going to be a real missed opportunity, because I don't think people are going to give us a second chance. The midterm elections are always, kind of a bellwether of whether we're doing a good job or not. And right now we can't fumble the ball. We've got to codify these things through the legislative process, or as you say, in 4 years, Trump's a lame duck president. We don't know what's going to happen. And with the flip of a switch, it can all be changed. So all the above, basically, on most of these executive orders, they need to be codified through legislation. And we really need the American people to engage their congressmen and say, these things are more important than your local politics in your local district. This is about saving America. I know all politics is local and how Tennessee feels about a lot of things, but I feel like our calling is higher now than just our district. It's got to be a national effort.
Congressman Scott Desjardins for a few more moments on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What with Doge and Elon Musk given the task by the president, there's a lot of liberal freak out going on. A lot of your colleagues in Washington, D.C. are, it's an unelected. I don't understand what they don't understand about Article 2, Section 1, that clearly defines that the president of the United States is the CEO of the executive branch, and he can designate those individuals that he wants to look into this. But more importantly to me, Scott, are you conservative-minded congressmen and women looking at this as kind of a reset? Because it occurs to me that y'all have been left in the dark largely with a lot of these programs. USAID comes to mind, right? Where they act as if they are above the legislative branch, the purse strings, and they don't answer to you guys.
Yeah, I think the people screaming the loudest in USAID are the ones that are abusing the program. It usually works that way. We voted already to cut it by 50%. I don't know if it was last Congress, but I find it interesting that we had a deluge of calls to our office, and I think a lot of them were staged. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe your callers will correct me, but all my conservative contacts that I've had over the years, not a single one called and complained about Elon Musk snooping around the Department of Treasury because they thought, well, he's not even elected. Well, to my knowledge, there's 435 of us in the House, 100 in the Senate, and the President that are elected here in Washington, maybe some federal judges. But everyone else is looking at your data right now, whether it be the IRS, the DOJ, the FBI. What makes you feel better about them having access to your data than Elon Musk, looking at things? Those people are unelected bureaucrats. They're the swamp. They're the deep state. So I don't understand their fear and argument. I think they're just freaking out because he's shaking things up. And why would anybody in America be opposed to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, whether it's in food stamps, whether it's in USAID, whether it's in the Department of Defense? If they can go in there and find the $300 hammer, the $800 toilet seat, USAID funneling money to terrorists, buying $15 million of condoms for Hamas and sending them to Gaza, if we can find that stuff and get rid of it, who would object to that? I mean, why are their heads exploding over trying to change the way things are done in Washington when they voted for change?
Who are you, any agency or any organized effort? I mean, I know that the Senate involves confirmations. We had Pam Bondi confirmed as the Attorney General, obviously Pete Hegseth as the Defense Secretary. Is anybody exciting you any more than any other, any program from the executive branch? Obviously the tariff deal is a huge one, Scott, and I'm curious your thoughts on that and the waning moments that we have. As a negotiation tactic, I think Donald Trump clearly was the victor on that front. What else in D.C. is kind of has you excited about the first 2 weeks?
Well, one, that the Senate is sticking together and they're confirming his nominees, whether it's Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. They asked me to come on because I was a physician. I didn't want to touch that one because he's got some, views that are, a little strange to me on vaccinations and whatnot. So I thought, no, thank you. But the point is, he picks people that are going to push his agenda. If they don't, I'm not saying they have to be yes men or yes women, but for the most part, they believe in what he is pushing and selling. So the people that he nominates, like his comment to the Department of Education, if you do your job right, you won't have a job, because they'd like to eliminate the Department of Education, which has been around since '77 and hasn't seen any improvement in math, reading, or science. And so, why do we have these bloated government bureaucracies when the states could handle things better? So I'm excited about the fact that somebody ran on something, was elected by the popular vote in an overwhelming majority, and then is actually doing what he said on the trail. There's not a thing he's doing that he didn't talk about doing. I think people are just freaking out because it's happening so fast. So I'm just excited at the pace. AOC called Elon Musk one of the dumbest billionaires she's ever seen. I'm thinking, he's the Thomas Edison of our times. And who is AOC? So, I mean, it's entertaining. I was in the chair today listening to debate where we're trying to fix the fentanyl program. Our problems, and McGovern from Massachusetts is bringing up all the pardons Trump did, everything but fentanyl. So every chance they get, they're just trashing Trump. And I think that I don't really expect them to work with us, but there are Democrats that are moderates that I think will come around because they see the same problems with the country. I'm really excited about what we're going to do on defense. There's no better time to pick up the pace and speed up acquisitions and keep pace with China, because we haven't been doing that because we're big, bloated, deep state federal bureaucracies, and they're trying to change that. I'm excited about it.
As always, great stuff, Scott. Enjoy the conversation. Come see us when you're around Nashville, and we'll talk again very soon. Take care.
I got to see that eye patch.
Come on, 8:35 tomorrow morning. Talk TV. Dan Mandis. He'll have it on.
All right.
All right. See you, brother.
Right, thank you.
There you go. There's Representative Scott Desjardins excited about the eye patch. And we're all over the map on eye patch suggestions. I think maybe it's Young Frankenstein, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, there was I think it was Inspector Kemp that had an eye patch. And
the dark guy?
And a monocle. He was one of the German, I don't know if he was whatever, but he had an eye patch on one eye and a monocle, and he at one point put the monocle on the eye with the eye patch.
I think maybe that's what we're
Maybe
thinking.
that was it.
I think that's what it is. After all of that 20 minutes of heavy dose conversation about government and politics, we just go right back to the eye patch. 23 after the hour on Super Talk. Folks, when you go over to movministry.com, obviously we ask you to donate, give as you can to Men of Valor, but also I want you to consider giving your time. When you speak to someone at Men of Valor, they can describe to you exactly how that could work. Yes, you could go into the prison system with some of the great men that do this on a regular basis and talk to the individuals, disciple the individuals, and bring them to the power of God. And they have a program and a plan that works. They turn a recidivism rate of over 50% into one under 15%. You heard me right. 50% of the men that get out of prison will go back within 3 years without the power of Men of Valor. Men of Valor graduates, it's less than 15%. That's important because not only is that bringing men to God, it's making them better members of our society, and by extension, it's saving us money because it costs money to process men through the prison system. It's all worth it, folks. Go to movministry.com. That's movministry.com to find out more about this wonderful organization that is Men of Valor.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
A shooting at a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Nashville, and a Robertson County man is a wanted man. In fact, TBI has put him on the most wanted list. Details on that and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ken Weaver. That's coming up in mere moments, 28 minutes after the hour. You know, I asked the question, and I know that I love engaging on the telephones probably more than anybody on the radio. I mean, I absolutely love it. Chris Webber and I were talking about that before the show. It's one of my favorite things to do, to ask. And I know that sometimes you guys have to wait a little bit because we've got commercial breaks or we have a guest or I've got a rant that I have to get off my chest. And I try not to do that. But I'm interested that, I had a little bit of a call to action earlier today where I said, hey, what are your thoughts on this Israel deal? What are your thoughts on the Gaza Strip? And I didn't really get I didn't get anybody. And I think it's a result of people not knowing what to make of it. I don't think that people want to sound as if they are against Donald Trump on something before they know exactly what we're talking about. But I'll go ahead and tell you, I am trepidatious in as much as I was with the Ukraine-Russian deal. It seemed to me that the Israeli situation was a bit more cut and dry in as much as Israel was attacked on October 7th. Israel has been consistently under fire with regard to Hamas, Hezbollah, before that, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Much of the modern era of terrorism against the state of Israel has come from money from Iran. We know that. Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism on the globe. And we've seen 100 years of fighting in that region to no benefit to anybody. The Israelis are fighting for their very survival. Hamas is on record. It's a part of their charter that they want to destroy and completely dismantle Israel. At the same time, it seemed cut and dry in as much as it did not seem like there would be mission creep involving the United States of America. We were there to support Israel in terms of foreign policy. We were there to support Israel in word. We were there to support Israel with material support and monetary support. But other than that, there was really no question as to whether or not there would be boots on the ground. Well, that has now changed. On the Ukrainian front, I do not want to see America involve itself in conflicts needlessly or simply to do so because we think we can advance American interest on the side. And I do not like the idea of mission creep. We had mission creep going on with Ukraine to the point that, at this point, did y'all see the story where Zelensky is now saying he didn't get nearly the amount of money that the American taxpayers sent him? And now there's a suggestion that almost half, if not more than half of that money got tied up into various bureaucratic organizations and was funneled to others not. So even if you were in support of America aid to Ukraine, which I was not, even if you were in support of that, your money's not going there to begin with. It's going to the bureaucracy. It's going to organizations like USAID where it funnels it out to other things. My principled position on Ukraine-Russia was that it felt way too much like Vietnam to me, where you support in principle, you support then in materials, you support then in money, you support then in further materials and armaments and weapons. You have to offer logistical support in order to help understand how to use the weapons that you're providing. And, why don't y'all just get out of the way and we'll do it ourselves? And suddenly, before you know it, you got boots on the ground, American blood being spilled in an engagement that we have no business in. And that does not further a greater American interest. So I'm predisposed to disagree with any plan that would put American boots on the ground to support or protect anything going on over there. Now, I also recognize that I don't necessarily understand the chess that Donald Trump is playing, and that is by design. Donald Trump's not going to tell everyone what his ultimate goals are publicly on the stage. He announces what he wants to announce, and I've learned that, if anything. And I'm very late, if anything. I apologize. I got on a rant when it was time for Ken Weaver. Ken Weaver's patiently waiting on the news, and David and Tim and Bob will get to you in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WGN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking the potential for severe weather here in Middle Tennessee anytime between now and 10 o'clock tonight. Already, we've got some pockets of what appear to be some heavy rain popping up west of Nashville right now, mainly along and north of 40. Dixon, looks like you're getting some of the heaviest stuff right now. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Suspect in custody after a shooting at the Germantown KFC. Officers arriving to the intersection of Jefferson Street and Rosa L. Parks Boulevard say they found one person with serious injuries. The shooter had taken off. They found that person some distance away who had tried to make a break for it. Police say they found a weapon, too. Jimmy Cox is a wanted man. In fact, one of Tennessee's most wanted, according to TBI, who gave the designation today, the second day of a manhunt in Robertson County to find Cox after his stepson was found stabbed to death. Big search involving aircraft, drones, and a lot of cops and canines on the ground where the 39-year-old was last seen on Fishers Road. In our nation's capital, President Trump signing the executive order banning transgender athletes from competing in female sports.
We're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding.
Tennessee 4th District Congressman Scott Desjardins telling WTN's Matt Murphy, Congress needs to act now to make it permanent.
Right now, we've got an opportunity with the House, Senate, and White House, like we did in 17, to get things done. And if we don't learn from the mistakes we made then when we accomplished basically the Trump tax cuts, then, it's going to be a real missed opportunity.
And the White House fully expects lawsuits to try to block this executive order. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Traffic getting real heavy if you are eastbound 44 over to 24. It's the same way if you are east or westbound on the South Loop, and then 40 east and westbound in between downtown and that 2440 split. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
When you go into your typical auto repair shop, sadly, you smell a lot of smells that are undesirable. You smell the stink of an auto repair shop. You know what I'm talking about, grease and nastiness. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and if you're tired of smelling that smell with greasy old rags lying around a countertop that you wouldn't touch, you know what else stinks in that repair shop? The cost. And repair shops that keep your car forever, and they're not honest about it. They don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, you were not at Eurofix, and it's time to get to Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection. With an estimate at every visit, they're going to tell you what you're going to pay for the issue involving your car. Not a high-pressure sales tactic either. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Never pay dealer prices. Go to Eurofix. 5 locations. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now in Mount Juliet. 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or go to myeurofix.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 7 tonight. Thank you for being around. It is 20 until 5 right now. Rain coming in. Could be nasty. You've heard the drill. Severe thunderstorms, a lot of wind, etc. Be careful. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. We heard from our man last night. Here's what he said last evening, as heard on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
So that was Donald Trump making the announcement. You know, perhaps, I mean, he said take ownership. And I thought after the show last night that maybe he meant take ownership as in, you know, take responsibility. We're going to take the ownership of all of this. We're going to take the responsibility of all of this. Not that we're going to take it over permanently necessarily. Certainly that's what the administration is saying today. Your thoughts on this? I promised I'd get to calls. And David, you're a first up on the Matt Murphy Show. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Great, David.
Well, I am a politically conservative Jew, and part of me thinks that this is a typical Trump troll. You know, I think he's trolling Hamas. I think he's trolling the Iranians. But the other part of me think, you know, what makes Israel different is that, you know, that's a country that's on the front lines of facing jihadist terror. You know, Iran is in their backyard. You know, I think, you know, with a lot of intelligence sharing that we do with them, we've been able to kind of keep the Iranian nuclear genie in the bottle. I don't see conventional U.S. troops going into Gaza. I just don't see it. If anything, I see, you know, a covert special operations type thing happening, and I see it happening in a limited role. But more than anything, you know, I would rather see, you know, certainly more so in Israel than in the case of Ukraine. I would rather see us give the IDF and the IAF the bunker busters they need to go after these, you know, these Hamas bunkers that are buried, you know, however deep, you know, in the city, and, you know, also empower them to fight Hezbollah. I mean, you know, they did quite the number on Hezbollah with the exploding pagers and cell phones, which
wasn't that incredible?
I thought that was awesome.
So good.
You know, it did give me pause.
Hold on a moment. I have a call from Boom. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was Allah calling. You know, it did give me pause. You know, why do we want the Chinese to continue to build our wireless devices? That definitely made me think a little bit.
Good question.
But anyways, yeah, that's what I see this becoming. I see it as a very limited sub rosa special operations type thing. I don't think you're going to see the 3rd Marine Division marching into Nablus and kicking down doors. I just don't see it happening.
Well, and and I appreciate everything you've said, David, and I thank you for the call and the perspective. And the question then becomes, what will we do when individuals, Americans or not, that we have empowered to engage in this activity finds themselves roughed up or threatened or killed by terrorists? Right? So let's say that it's American contractors that are engaging in the cleanup. Let's say that America supports Arab nations in the cleanup. And as the cleanup occurs, there are terrorist acts against them. What do we do then? My fear is that our response is eventually that we're going to send some people to protect them in the form of military troops on the ground. Now, would that be the worst thing in the world? I don't suppose. I just I do not wish to spill American blood when there are other options and opportunities for others around the globe. Now, the suggestion has been made that this is Donald Trump essentially telling the rest of the world, specifically the Arab world, look, I mean, if you think about it by saying, and I'm not saying this is what he's doing, this is what he's not doing, but I could see this. If you stand up with Benjamin Netanyahu standing beside you and say, we're going to take back over Gaza and we're going to take ownership of Gaza and we're going to rebuild Gaza and we're going to do it our way, the United States of America is going to have some permanency or permanent status in the Middle East right there in the Gaza Strip. Would that not maybe motivate other Arab nations to say, hold on a second, we'll take care of this for you, America. Don't worry about that. We'll get some stability in this region. Well, sure it would. On the other side of that, I don't see any Arab nations stepping up and agreeing to take 1.7 million Gazans. And by the way, why are they Gazans now? Why aren't they Palestinians still? Oh, because Palestinian isn't actually a state. And by extension, the Palestinian people are really just Arab people that are in that region of the world that we call Palestine, because they call it Palestine. Tim is next on the road. Tim, any thoughts on all of this? How are you, sir?
Hey, Matt. Matt, thanks for my call. Thanks for taking my call, buddy.
Of course, man.
All right, so we know Trump's a three-dimensional deal maker, leader. Here's my thought, reading some tea leaves, I think. So I think he's going to get some buy-in, and everybody's going to get a stake in the mission. When I say three-dimensional, I think what's going to happen, he's going to use, if he does use troops, he's going to get everybody's buy-in that typically paid Hamas and other terrorist groups to do this. But what he's also going to do is give them a buy-in and the money they can make to develop some peace, and then maybe some monetary revenue for them. So what happens is when you do that, A, it's going to keep them from funding the terrorists. B, it's going to allow them to provide a free, peaceful Gaza, whether they're building hotels or whatever. But I think he's going to get their buy-in. Jordan, Egypt, all those folks. It's going to make them think twice. I'm not sure if you understand where I'm going, but I think it's three-dimensional deal making.
I don't disagree with that. It's kind of a honeypot approach to what we're trying to accomplish. Where it gets sticky for me, pardon the pun or the play on words, but where the honeypot approach gets sticky is, what do you do with the however many there are, 1.5 million people in the meantime? And I don't know what you do with that. Another country, if you're going to remove them from that part of the world, and right now they are depending on humanitarian aid, they're depending on the kindness of Israel and the United States of America and other nations that are providing them that aid. They don't really have a place to stay. It is not safe for them to stay there while the rebuilding happens. But where do you take them is the question. Who would accept them?
I think that's part of the buy-in. Everybody that's going to invest in making the Gaza Strip a safer place, maybe he'll have them agree to take, or, not that we need any more folks here, but anybody that's want to make Gaza a safer place, buy into taking them for a short time until housing and places built back.
I dig it. I mean, I know, and I'm hearing you. Thank you, Tim, for the call. I want to get to one more before we have to take a short time out, and that person is Jerry in Murfreesboro. Hello, Jerry.
Why do I always feel like it's always like the same thing over and over again? Whenever they sign this, whatever kind of a peace deal they make, I think they should just say, look, Gaza, this is your last chance. Either you join the free world and the nations of the world that just want peace. The next time you pull a stunt like you did, that's it. You lose all your land. We're going to annex it. We're going to take it over, and we're going to turn it into a nice garden and grow things and have technology and everything else. And that's it. No more rockets, no more nothing. This is your last chance. That's all. Make it that simple. I don't understand why people just don't do that. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing. 3-4 years from now, they're going to rebuild, they'll send some more rockets in, and we go through the same thing. It's over and over. It's Groundhog Day is what it is. Why don't they just do that?
Well, I mean, I think Trump is trying to do that without doing that. In other words, I think he is trying to say this is a final opportunity for you to get your business straight, and we're going to make sure that we start from the ground up, and we're going to eliminate all of the tunnels and eliminate the footprint that Hamas has put down in that region, and we're going to build this thing back up. You can't be here while that happens, but once that happens, you'll be able to come back, those of you who are peaceful. I understand that he is setting the stage. I understand, as John puts it, John writes in and says the surrounding countries will move to keep a U.S. presence out, strategy to get what he wants and close a good deal for Israel and everyone else and get the enemy out. Well, okay, who's taking the Gazan people? I mean, I'm not trying to be fussy about all of this, but the first step, if the goal is to get the other nations to clean that region of the world up, to level it, to build it back up, a place that people would want to live at, a place where people would want to live. Don't end with the preposition, Murphy. Well, then who's going to take the Gazans in the meantime? Jordan's not going to do it. Egypt's not going to do it. Who's going to do it? Saudi Arabia's not going to do it. I mean, at least that's what they say. So, I mean, once again, our man is the art of the deal. I'm not. Matt Murphy's not leading these negotiations, so perhaps he is better at all of this than even I give him credit for. It's 51 after the hour on Super Talk. Y'all sick? You sick at all? Because I got a little sniffle going on. I'm going to be honest with you. Got a little sniffle, got a little scratchy throat. That's okay, though, because I've got Grace Point Healthcare at my fingertips. Dr. Rob and the team at Grace Point Healthcare are so good at what they do, and they really eliminate multiple middlemen in the process of getting to your doctor and getting to the root cause of whatever issue you might have and getting that thing solved, because they are a direct pay primary care provider, which means that all treatment is handled between you and your physician, their medical staff, not your insurance company and not the pharmaceutical companies. Whether you pay by the visit or enroll in their Smart Care plan, they keep their prices low because they know that you need that in your life, and they're not going to charge you more than they need to give you the quality service that they've been providing for years at Grace Point Healthcare. You know, the basic Smart Care plan is just $69 a month, and with that plan, you get unlimited office visits year-round. Now, you don't have to enter the Smart Care plan. You can just pay by the visit as well. And, oh, by the way, when you're sick, if you have the sniffles or have a little bit of a scratchy throat, don't you worry, because they can see you a lot of times same day or next day. It's modern medicine the old-fashioned way at Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare is military-owned as well. I love that. Patients are treated naturally whenever possible. I love that, too, not beholden to the pharmaceutical companies there. They're in the heart of Franklin. Give them a call at 615-599-6868. Schedule your next appointment to Grace Point Healthcare.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? They'll ask you that when you stop by the Dr. Gill Center. If you've never been, you need to go, especially if you have pain anywhere on your person, whether it's back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, shoulder pain. Wherever you hurt, the Dr. Gill Center and their team approach can offer you chiropractic care and so much more. Spinal decompression, the red light therapy, the Class 5 laser system, E-stim, all available to you at the Dr. Gill Center. They've been doing it for a long time, too. For the last 30-plus years, they've provided their customers and their patients with relief from the pain that they've been experiencing. It's time to get pain-free in 2025. Let's give the Dr. Gill Center a call at 615-882-4838. 882-4838. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, conveniently located in Franklin.
Manhunt is over in Robertson County. That story, and we've got protesters over at the state capitol. Tell you all about that at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Governor Lee has got to go. Is that what they're saying? That's probably what they're saying. Don't you think?
Probably saying something like, this is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. Yeah. I didn't get another one. I thought we'd get at least 2 in there. No justice, no peace. Man, oh, man. Yeah, a lot of liberals are very, very upset with the way the world is going. I mean, we've got our liberal friends in Washington, D.C. that are freaking out a little bit. In the meantime, you've got Caroline Levitt. I'll get it right. One of these days, I'll get it right. Caroline Levitt with a little mic drop moment over
And one more thing before I wrap up, because I do want to get to these meetings, and I will see you all at the EO signing later this afternoon. I would just say that you brought to mind California and North Carolina, who continue to be on our hearts, and the president and this administration are committed to ensuring that these individuals get the funding that they need. And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that. And it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Caroline Leavitt, press secretary for Donald J. Trump. It is nearing 5 o'clock. Ken Weaver's News is next. Then Cameron Smith stops by from the Tennessean. He writes the all the best words. I say all the best words. Why do I feel like we're going to fight today? I just feel it in my bones. Listen in and find out on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking the potential for severe weather tonight. Right now, anytime between now and 10 o'clock. Looking at radar right now, we do have some pockets where the rain is falling very heavily. Right now, you got it right in between Nashville and Dixon, north of I-40. Springfield, you're getting it up there in Robertson County. Manhunt is over in Robertson County. Authorities say they found 39-year-old Jimmy Cox hiding out in a cave. Someone called law enforcement after seeing smoke coming from it in the area of Smiley Hollow Road. Cox had just been placed on TBI's most wanted after authorities say they found his stepson dead with stab wounds. One person's in custody for a shooting at a KFC here in Germantown in Nashville. Police went there around 3 this afternoon, say they found one person seriously wounded, rushed them to Vanderbilt. A suspect was found after trying to run away. Police say they found a gun on the suspect. Earlier today in Nashville, about 200 people protested at the state capitol, holding signs against President Trump's policies and calling for Elon Musk's arrest. That's exactly what they were doing outside the Department of Labor in D.C. today.
My message to Elon Musk would be, you can't scare us. We're here to defend the people.
Yeah, protests like this happening in cities across the nation. They probably don't like this either.
With this executive order, the war on women's sports is over.
Trump banning transgender athletes from participating in female sports, stripping federal tax money from any publicly funded school or organization that allows it. Tennessee 4th District Congressman Scott Desjardins telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show, it and every other Trump executive order needs to be codified by Congress now, while Republicans have both chambers.
The midterm elections are always, kind of a bellwether of whether we're doing a good job or not. And right now, we can't fumble the ball. We've got to codify these things.
Right now in Colorado, Alex Stone says federal immigration agents have been busy.
As ICE and other federal agents moved in, knocking on apartment doors around the Denver metro area and making some arrests on the streets outside, protesters yelled at the agents. Hannah Sickline lives in one of the apartment complexes and says in her opinion the crime there is a result of a landlord that doesn't enforce the rules or maintain the property.
The immigrants aren't the issue, really. It is the conditions. And it is an absent landlord, which is why we are now in this situation.
One of the apartment complexes raided was in Aurora and has been the focus of claims that it's run by Venezuelan gang members.
Pam Bondi sworn in today as the country's attorney general, confirmed by the Senate 54-46. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Glencliff got a crash, 24 eastbound after Briley Parkway. In the Gulch, the left lane blocked by a crash, 40 eastbound at Broadway. And an accident blocking the right shoulder, 40 westbound at Church Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I started to play as we begin the 5 o'clock hour. By the way, hello and a good afternoon. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you're just getting into your automobile, maybe you're listening in your place of business still, or perhaps you're already in your home, we thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative. I almost screwed it up, Weber. I almost played a clip of a Democrat saying a nasty word.
Ooh. Glad you caught that.
There's one, because I put a bunch of these clips up on my social media platform. You can find me at Matt Murphy Show on the X Machine, at Matt Murphy Show. And I got a bunch of them up, and I almost clicked on this one. This is the lady that has a potty mouth. She said the G and the D.
Ooh.
I know.
That's not nice.
I know. Very nasty.
I like a nasty word.
I mean, yeah. Nasty, nasty, nasty. And then there's this guy. Instead of playing the Democrats, we need to play this guy. I love this guy, and he's very funny, and he is reflecting on some of the liberal freakout. Just listen in.
Elon Musk, I have this to say to you on behalf of the American people. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's Rob
It's been
Snyder.
incredible. I really appreciate it. Keep going.
he's like, I got this to say to you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. And that was not me screwing up his audio. That was him screwing up his audio. Yeah, a lot of liberals are very upset at Donald Trump and Elon Musk and just about everybody else in Washington, D.C. that doesn't completely and totally agree with them that the spending should go on unabated. Without question. To speak on these and other matters, to talk about what's going on in the state of Tennessee and to beyond, as always, during the 5 o'clock hour on these Wednesdays, we welcome in our good friend and colleague. He writes all the best words. I say all the best words. It
feels like there's a thing there.
I know. One of these days. It feels like there's been a thing there for about 2 years, maybe longer. But announcements to come. Hello, Cameron. How are you?
The setup in this studio, for those of you who can see the video, I mean, I get to look longingly into your eyes now. We didn't get to do that previously, so it's so much better.
Well, I know that you appreciate it. One of us appreciates that.
It's good.
And that person is you. It's better because if you are watching on television, I think it was a little disconcerting that we were actually looking at one another, but it looked like we were looking in two opposite directions on the camera. It was very odd.
We are just really bad at where the people go. Now we're good. And so we don't creep anyone out who's watching online.
Where do you want to start there, buddy boy? There's a fire hose of
happened
information.
in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. The last 10 seconds would be Riley Gaines at the White House. Donald Trump signing an executive order making it, it's not a law. What is it? An executive order that
this is the funding stuff. If your school
that's right.
screws around with it and says there might be a bunch of other genders, then you could have your funding messed with.
My favorite part of it was with all of the little, the girls and the women behind him, athletes all. How many genders are we? Know there's two genders, right? There's which genders? And he got a call back. Boys and girls. Very good. But a lot of what he's doing in the executive branch is repairing some of what was done during the Biden administration or reversing it. things that Joe Biden could not get through the Congress. Here's what I would suggest, that the Congress better, and I told Scott Desjardins this earlier today, the Congress better wake up to the idea that if Donald Trump can reverse Joe Biden's executive orders, someone down the road can reverse Donald Trump's, and we need to get this on the books and have the Congress codify this into the law.
What if the representatives of the people were the ones with the legislative power?
Yeah.
You know what? There's an article about that I read somewhere. The United States Constitution. Come on. This is what needs to happen. Congress needs to get on it. And look, if you're a Republican, I get it. You love Trump. The whole point of Congress is not to pass resolutions about Trump. It's to do your freaking job and help the man out. He's here basically dumping the federal bureaucracy on its head, and Congress is like, that looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, hey, good job, buddy.
Right.
Well, and part of I'm a little frustrated, and I don't want to, spend too much time wagging my fingers at some of the better guys. I won't say the good guys, but the better guys in Washington, D.C. But I'm a little frustrated because right now Donald Trump is kind of exposing Congress for being as lazy as we think Congress is. Because it is congressional laziness that we allowed this to get this far, that you have an organization that is funded by $50 billion, and we're just finding out exactly what all of this money is going to. And it's things the American people just simply do not support our money going there when we're that much in debt.
So this is interesting to me because USAID has been there for quite some time. This is not new.
Nope.
We did not. I mean, and this is one of the things when I ran the Republican Policy Committee, we saw this as just bloat across the federal government. And it's weird for me that we've had Republicans for quite some time. But it's not until somebody actually takes on the bureaucracy itself that we're like, oh, I guess we have a problem. We obviously have a problem. The math bears that out, but it's a lot of work to dig into the bureaucracy, peel back the layers, because these are sub-agencies of agencies of agencies. The org chart, I actually tried to get this when I worked in Congress. They couldn't give me an org chart of all the agencies and sub-agencies. And this is where you have to starve the beast.
Well, and as Marco Rubio put it the other day, and we played the clip, and I can pull it up. I can probably try to find it, that when he was asked, do you think that USAID needs to go? Elon Musk has said this as an agent of the executive branch. Do you agree with him? And he was like, well, yeah. In as much as we have tried to reform it, we want to reform it, and as a result of the effort to reform it, they are acting in a fashion that is insurrectionist to their commander-in-chief. That they're being ordered to do certain things, and they say, no, we're not going to do them. And I'll tell you this, I did not listen loud enough. I don't think the American people listened loud enough. Maybe we heard but did not listen to Rand Paul, who I have a clip up on X. I'm going to play a little bit of this for you. And it's 6 minutes long. I don't know that I'll play all of it. This was Rand Paul in an exchange. Samantha Powers is the head of
NPR?
USAID.
Oh, okay.
And she testified before the Senate in 2023. And if this exchange does not tick you off, I don't know what to tell you.
Ms. Powers, did USAID fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
We did not fund gain-of-function research,
That's not the
as
question.
you know.
The question is, did you fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
Before my time, there was the PREDICT program with which you're familiar, which ended in China in 2019.
This is a $200 million program, and the GAO has also identified that some of these grants went directly to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where there is a suspicion that the lab leak began the pandemic. Has USAID awarded funds to the Academy of Military Medical Sciences in China?
Not to my knowledge, but I'd have to get
I think the answer is once again yes. GAO has found that there have been subawards of NIH money probably as well as USAID money that went to the Academy of not just medical research, military medical research in China. Now, part of the unknowns here is we can't get the records to look at this. So I've been asking for months and months for records. In September of last year, I wrote Ms. Powers, USAID, a request asking for records from the PREDICT program. These are not classified. These are simply records of scientific research. And
I just want to understand. I just want to make sure everybody understands what they're listening to. A sitting United States senator on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee has sent over a formal request to the administrator. Samantha Powers is a former ambassador to the United Nations under the Obama administration, and she was parked at USAID as an administrator as Obama was walking out of the door. So, or it might have been during the Biden administration. I don't know which. He sent over a formal request for information. Listen to what he says.
I'm going to read the grants to find out what they were doing and whether the research was dangerous or not. The response I got from your agency was USAID will not be providing any documents at this time.
Does that not piss you off, Cameron?
I expect that, actually. The agencies are opaque intentionally, and when you ask for information from a politically unfriendly, then you don't get it. And that's just, it is a poor way to run government. It's a huge problem, but it's also a huge problem that the Government Accountability Office is fantastic. Before DOGE, you had GAO. Gene Dodaro runs it. Fantastic entity that's pointing out the waste literally year over year, writing detailed reports about where it exists. And Congress does nothing. Like literally, somebody comes to Congress and says, here's a report of wasteful spending and things that are going on. You don't even have to go ask the agencies. We've done the work for you. Here you go. And they won't do it.
Why do you think that is? Laziness?
Laziness is a huge part of it. And I hate to say that, but it's just easier to blame it on the other branch.
Well, and I agree that GAO has done good work, but I don't know that GAO has ever delved into it like Elon Musk is doing in the first 2 weeks of the new Trump administration. I don't know. I admitted the other day that I knew that USAID existed. I had no idea that any of this was going on.
So the one thing I'll give Doge and Elon Musk credit for is some of the things that GAO would not necessarily have access to, which would be, hey, well, this is an annual report on an occupancy rate, which is easy to kind of like fudge. He's seeing, well, were you in office or not? He's seeing more detailed information there. But I'm telling you, the GAO stuff is solid. Like, I've nerded out on it. That's where I get a lot of the stuff for my columns, because I can see very detailed analysis on where we're setting money on fire, and they show you where there's little accountability for it. They're like, well, we're sending this out this way, but there's no oversight. There's an oversight problem. And Congress is just like, well, it's not something that's in the news, so who cares?
And I guess the difference between the Government Accountability Office and what we're seeing now is not getting to the bottom of maybe what is happening and where the money's going. But that's where the GAO, and I'm not faulting them, it's not their responsibility to tell you what to do with the information. All they can do is tell you the information. And at this point, at least we have somebody saying this is ridiculous. And maybe some more lawmakers are waking up to the fact that with $37 trillion in debt, maybe we need to start acting on some of this.
Here's a perfect example right here. While we were talking, in literally 15 seconds, I pulled up a USAID GAO report, and this is from published July 9th, 2023. The USAID, we found the Bureau hasn't documented lessons learned from addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. Addressed its performance bureau-wide. It's just underperforming. That's what they're saying. Address negative behaviors such as bullying that affect its culture. Align staffing with its mission and priorities, since most of its workforce are contractors who can't oversee contracts and grants work. Okay? Like that sitting there. It took me 15 seconds to pull up a GAO report on USAID failures that was in plain sight since 2023.
So whose fault is it that it hasn't been acted on then?
Congress, 100%. Because Congress can do oversight like you heard with Rand Paul, or they can do it from the budgeting standpoint and say, look, we're not going to give you any funding until you fix these things that are glaring issues.
Do you believe that USAID should be eliminated completely and rolled into the State Department?
Sure. You can pick a ton of these sub-agencies and say, bye.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, now there's some programs that are good.
Sure.
PEPFARs.
You can keep those going.
Dollar for dollar, one of the best programs that we've ever funded in terms of foreign engagement has been dealing with HIV in Africa. We've saved millions and millions of lives for a relatively small amount of money over about 2 decades. We don't talk about it, but it's an extremely efficient program. I'll raise my hand and say, hey, there's one that we should put on the table and say that's a good use of dollars to save that many lives if we're going to do foreign engagement and generate goodwill. However, there's a ton of it where it's just like blow money out the door, and we need to stop that.
Oh, and we've heard some of the examples, and I've got pulled up other examples. I mean, obviously, the amount of DEI initiatives that have been funneled through USAID alone just boggles the mind. And you've heard those examples. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru, $1.5 million for LGBT jobs program in Serbia, because I'm certain that that's going to be an effective use of our money. $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland, and on it goes. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Electric vehicles in Vietnam, et cetera, et cetera. We'll continue talking about this with Cameron Smith of the Tennessee in 21 after the hour. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Matt Murphy Show. It is February. That is the month of romance. Valentine's Day is almost here. Gentlemen, if you're looking for the most thoughtful, most romantic Valentine's Day gift, you're going to love what I have to tell you about Genesis Diamonds, because they become one-stop shopping for Genesis Diamonds. Here's what I mean. If you're looking for a one-of-a-kind designer ring, or a bracelet, or perhaps a pendant, or maybe something to go on her finger for Valentine's Day, if you spend $399 at Genesis Diamonds, $399 to $399,000, I mean, it doesn't matter how much you spend, but it's $399 and up, they're going to give you, wait for it now, fresh flowers, a dinner out, and chocolates at no charge to you. So that's a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Florist, a gift card for dinner at Fancy Pants Restaurant, and chocolates. So you don't have to worry about doing all of that stuff, too. You've just made it a home run Valentine's Day for the loved one in your life. Their non-commissioned experts are ready to help you. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds. 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Limited quantities. See store for details. Go and see them and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Genesis Diamonds.
The manhunt is over for one of TBI's most wanted. Apparently lighting a fire in a cave is what led to it. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver. There's Ken Weaver in News Closet B, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm going to go to my handy-dandy weather source here from the friendly studios of Super Talk 99.7 WTN and let you know what I see on the old radar.
It's
Cameron
raining.
Smith was it raining when you came in?
When I came in, it was getting dark.
Oh, well, there you
Rainy.
go. Look, it's raining. Raining in Nashville on Music Row and raining north of us. Hendersonville, you're about to get popped with some yellow and red. I think y'all know what that means. And might be some nastiness coming a little bit later on for the rest of you, just a little south of which direction is this going there? Oh, well, it's going west to east like normal. So there you go. There's your future cast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Your telephone calls, as always, 615-737-9986, or get them in on the super text line as we kind of dissect U.S. aid. And I'll tell you some of the other organizations that are being exposed through primarily USAID. USAID was a good first target for Doge because so many of the examples are so egregious.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, and Politico is already trying to defend itself, but Politico received $8.3 million from USAID.
AP did.
AP received a lot of money from USAID. And I don't care how loud your protestations are after these things come out. You seem beholden to – I do not have any faith that the Associated Press is going to write fair-minded reports about the waste, fraud, and abuse of big government when they're receiving millions of dollars from big government for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I generally think that should be a non-starter. Why would media organizations of any stripe take government money? Why would you do that?
But did you see Politico's response? They're like, well, they subscribed. They said, I swear to you, they're basically, well, that's a premium subscription. And there were a lot of people in the government that had premium subscriptions to Politico, and that's why they paid us $8.3
So incidentally, that is true, but USAID, why would, for example, in Congress, like Politico, The Hill, there's several publications that just get dropped off at the office that you read and check out. They're usually in the offices, like coffee table reading for constituents and stuff. Okay, but USAID, why do we need to read Politico? Help me out. This is funny. Again, I'm dorking out on this report from GAO. The majority of the bureaus, talking about USAID, the bureau's staff are non-direct hires who, according to USAID, do not meet the definition of federal employees who are able to perform inherently governmental functions. This is it. As a result, these non-direct hires are not permitted to oversee the bureau's contracts and grants, its primary mechanism for implementing global health programming. This is dorky language for the people who are there were not able to oversee the thing they do.
Well, and here's what I want to know. I mean, we're hearing some of these more egregious examples. And once again, USAID is, in my estimation, the tip of the iceberg. The real horrible stuff may be coming down the road. But even with the descriptions that we're hearing and the money that we're hearing, did these things actually exist? And can there be an audit as to whether or not the things that we paid for actually happened or not? Or is all of this just a shell game to funnel money somewhere? And if so, where?
So the thing I just read is answering your question with no. We cannot audit because the people who were in charge, who were there to oversee the thing they did, weren't able to do that thing. Therefore, the money just went.
And we don't really know where.
There's not receipts, at some level, if you're not paying attention to disbursements of grants and contracts.
I just want to find one person that saw the transgender opera. One person that came out with a play. Oh, yeah, just show me a copy of the comic book.
Can you imagine being in a foreign country and the U.S. diplomat is like,
Hola, señor.
Here is your transgender comic.
Oh, sí.
This is what you really wanted.
Gracias.
We can play a fun game. You can pick an agency.
Señorita has a penis.
Oh, good grief.
It's time to go to the news. 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And yes, that rain is moving right on in. Heaviest part in North Nashville right now. All of it is north of 40. Clarksville, you're getting some of the heaviest too as this continues to move east. Now, there is the risk of severe weather with this up until about 10 o'clock tonight. So we're going to have to be weather aware, as our friends over at Channel 4 say. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Manhunt's over. A man on TBI's Most Wanted been found hiding out in a cave in Robertson County this afternoon. Someone saw smoke coming from the cave in the area of Smiley Hollow Road. Authorities responded and say they arrested 39-year-old Jimmy Cox, who's been on the run since his stepson was found dead with stab wounds. Right now in cities across the nation, protests popping up. People like this man in front of the Department of Labor who don't like President Trump, and they're calling for the arrest of Elon Musk.
Is this what you voted for? Is this what you really want? Some unelected bajillionaire coming in and deciding to cut things he had never heard of until yesterday.
There's about 200 people protesting Trump this afternoon at the Tennessee state capitol who probably don't like this.
In front of women and young girls in sports uniforms, President Trump signed an executive order directing federal agencies, including the Justice Department, to interpret federal Title IX rules as prohibiting the participation of transgender girls and women in female sports categories.
With this executive order, the war on women's sports is over.
The executive order mandates immediate enforcement. The White House expects sports bodies like the NCAA to change their rules in accordance with the order.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Glencliff got a crash 24 eastbound after Briley Parkway South. In Murfreesboro, the left lane blocked. 840 westbound just past Bill France Boulevard. That is a crash. And back here in Nashville at the fairgrounds, Nolensville Pike at Craighead Street. Police on the scene of a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling want to be a part of your heater or air conditioner decision-making. And here's why I would suggest that they need to be a part of that decision-making process. Let's talk about the heater because obviously it's wintertime, and despite the fact that it's unusually warm the last several days, it will get cold again in the next several days, and you'll be turning on that heater. So if you don't know, you need someone that you trust that does. And Jeff Eddy has committed to me, to you, to the entire Middle Tennessee community that he's never going to tell you to get a new unit if you don't necessarily need it. Now, he'll tell you the truth. He'll say, you know, Matt, I think you can get through this season with this unit, but it is on its last legs. Maybe it's time to think about replacing it. Or if it is time, he'll tell you that as well. And if it is time, don't you worry. They're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can recommend the right heating unit for you. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, a big company with a big heart, and they want to talk with you. 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or go to efficienthvac.net.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean veal risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Cameron Smith and I are solving everything during the break, proudly. I mean, 538, not 58, 538. Good evening. We'll get to your calls momentarily, 615-737-9986. I promised I would get to those calls. It is locked for Trump Day 340, and I've got to figure out at some point I have to take an hour or maybe just 30 minutes, maybe an hour of our time together on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And find the right barbershop to get my hair cut, because I've got to do it soon. You are groom shaming me here.
Yeah,
because you're looking great.
Well, I appreciate that.
I
found a good barber that I really, really like. She is great. I mean, a little expensive, but I can walk there from the office. And
is that at Franklin?
Yeah, in Franklin. Okay. And she is fantastic.
She takes appointments.
She does. I mean, she might take a look at you and be like,
I mean, I just need somebody that knows what they're doing, because I'm not going to cut it short. I'm going to keep it kind of, but I need it to look. I need some off the back, and I need the rest to look intentional.
She is a barber that is sort of old school.
Is she a barber?
Yeah,
she's a barber.
Barber.
She's not. That's a barbette.
She makes a very profound point of being like, I cut men's hair.
She's not a stylist.
I am a barber.
She's okay.
She does the facial, everything. She can do it all.
Okay.
She's good. She's very good.
All right. Well, I'm a little nervous. Maybe she might look at me and think hippie and just give me the old flat top.
She's a little salty too, which is great, because she'll just tell it how it is, and she'll just be like, no.
By the way, I experienced that one time. I was in the barbershop, Buzzy Dents. And I'm certain now. I thought it was his name. I'm certain it was his nickname. But Buzzy Dents in Thompson, Georgia. No P in Thompson. Thomson. And my grandpa and I were at the barbershop. And a guy with, like, longer hair was in there. Like, we came in. He was sitting, getting ready. And he got him up. And the guy's, just a little bit, meh. And Buzzy Dent cut his hair and cut it much shorter than the kid wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that the kid's like, man, you cut it too short. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you wanted. And as soon as the kid laughed, cut your head, kid. It's just like, ooh, that's mean.
Yeah, well,
is that what this lady's going to do to me?
I want somebody that is just, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. You just sit there and relax. And that's really what I go for. I don't like the, I have to tell you how to cut hair mindset. Like, that concerns me.
Yeah, how do you want it? And I guess when it's this long, I probably have to say, like, I don't want it that short or whatever. But I feel like I just need to take a picture.
Yeah.
Like, take a photograph of someone's head of hair.
Yeah.
Like, I was given a photograph of Jeff Bridges. I would not suggest that I'm in any way comparable to Jeff Bridges. He's a handsome man. I'm this. But I was given that photograph by someone in this. I mean,
you could do that. Just please don't do a man bun.
No, good Lord, no. I'll do a ponytail.
Okay,
ponytail. Why is a man bun off limits, but a ponytail? Everybody goes, that's fine. I mean, but
it's true.
You know why? Because Mel Gibson wore a ponytail in The Patriot. That's why.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, it was a really short one.
I mean, yeah. He had his little His little wispies.
I don't know. There's just something that's like, okay, if you're going to get a little wild, you want to do a ponytail and knock yourself out. But the man bun is just, that's like my grandma, you know? Like the bun used to be like a lady's hairstyle. And
I'm not saying I support it. I'm saying it's curious to me that I can put my hair up in a ponytail. If I put my hair up in a ponytail, people would be fine with it.
Right.
If I put my hair up in a man bun, I would be ridiculed a la the way that Dan Mandis is raked over the coals on a daily basis.
There's some things you just can't put man in front of. Like you say man bun or man skirt. There's not a man skirt. There's a kilt, but it's a very specific thing.
Nobody makes fun of sumo wrestlers.
Because they're bigger, and when you're bigger, you get to do what you want.
Not only do they have a man bun, but they also have a Speedo on.
You're going to call that a Speedo?
I think that's kind of an adult diaper, but I guess if you're that big, you need that big of a Speedo.
And that's like a knot, right? It's a samurai knot.
It's a big plastic thong.
No, I'm not talking about that. Talking about the hairstyle. Good grief, you guys.
All right.
There's one. 1733 said it. Man purse.
Man purse.
It's a purse. You don't make it better by saying it's a man purse.
One of my favorite endings to I love every Seinfeld, but one of my favorite endings to Seinfeld. It's a European man bag. He stole it. It's a purse. He stole my purse.
Right.
I've just been in the entire episode trying to convince everybody that it was a European man bag.
I made eye contact with a gentleman the other day who had what I can only describe as a merce slung across his chest, and he could feel my contempt.
It wasn't a satchel?
No. If you're a satchel, I can imagine you riding a horse like Paul Revere. I can get that. Like a satchel's fine. No. I'm talking about like
that's a satchel, right?
Yes, that's fine. That's like a saddlebag.
A messenger bag.
Right, messenger bag. Fine. I get that. No problem. But I'm talking about you took a woman's clutch and strapped it around your chest. And I'm just going to look at you and be like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered that you probably drive a Subaru too?
All this talk makes me want to cut my hair. I've got a couple of things I want to bring up, but I want to get to as many calls right now as we can. Let's go to Wesley in Franklin, who wants to talk about wasting money, particularly with Politico. Hello, Wesley.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Great, Wesley. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to weigh in on this Politico thing. As your sidekick mentioned, there's lots of government organizations that subscribe to legacy media, lots of copies of the Post, the Times, the Journal. They're delivered to the bureaucracies every day. That's standard operating procedure. However, the revenue from those subscriptions is an insignificant portion of the total revenue to the publication. That ain't the case with Politico. I mean, they can post their books if they want to say that it's not. But we have reporting recently from former Politico reporters Mark Caputo and what's the girl Tara Palmari that that said that they were told to kill stories that were negative to Biden administration and to Democrats, and it was because Politico was hooked on the federal money. Between $5 and $30 million to a Beltway newsletter is a scandal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, there is in my estimation, and I don't, they claim that a lot of this money was coming from premium subscriptions. I'd like to see the receipts on that, but I don't think that it is ever permissible ethically for an organization whose duty it is to report on government to be receiving money from government.
Yeah.
That creates an ethical dilemma.
So I don't have a problem when they say use the word premium, it concerns me because if you have a rack rate subscription that everybody else who subscribes do that, look, doctors' offices do it, government entities, I'll say Politico and The Hill and a number of those publications are very useful for Hill staff to kind of know what's going on. So I understand a reason why an agency or the people on The Hill might subscribe. You should not get a special rate or anything along those lines, and you certainly shouldn't pay a premium for a subscription because you're also the subject of the news. So the idea that you are funding the thing, like you're pointing out, it creates a strings type situation that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, I mean, there are entities. I mean, I think we are one of them. So don't get me wrong. If you have levels of separation between your sales department and those that produce the news, then you can create a dynamic by which you accept. I mean, we do it. And so so we accept money from politicians.
Yep.
But if I were ever asked by anybody to adjust my perspective on any piece of news based on any amount of advertising, I would not only say no, I would want to expose the ask on the radio.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't trust that for $8.3 million that I just need to see a lot of receipts before I would
also the
believe.
big difference. Cumulus is a big company, right? There's stations all over the place, does all kinds of things. So Politico and The Hill, they're not, they would love to be, but they are not national
nerds
products.
like us read it.
Yes.
But I don't think the average person is going to The Hill.
Right. That is a very specific product.
It's almost like a trade magazine.
Yes, for a very specific market.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is not like, I would argue, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, your big legacy, even the New York Times. It is a very discrete product. And so, yes, you've got a kind of a weird situation here. But the whole kill a story thing is real.
That's bad.
And that's bad.
Let's talk to PJ next. He's in Nash, or she. Hello, PJ. How are you?
It's a he. How you guys doing today?
What's up, PJ?
Oh, not much. So I got a question, and I'm just trying to figure out when I can stop paying taxes. But trying to figure out what's going to happen once they stop all this spending that we're not supposed to be spending, like whatever, all this wasteful spending. What's going to happen to all this extra money we're going to have? Are we going to spend it on the roads and bridges? Is it going to go back to the people? Like, how are we going to see the results? Like, is it going to affect us immediately, or is it going to be a long-term thing?
So
I'm just trying to figure that out.
Well, no, it's a good question, PJ. I hate to do it, but I have to respond to a question with a question for you. Do you know how much the federal government overspent last year?
I know I'm going to be wrong, but I think our budget is about $10 trillion a year. I don't know how much of that is being wasted.
So take a wag as to how much we overspent. Let's say it's $10 trillion. How much was that? Did we bring in of that?
$9 trillion is being overrated. I don't know.
I think it's almost $2 trillion.
1.83.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so $1.8 trillion was just kind of made up. It was borrowed through Treasury bonds, good faith and credit of the United States of America, or So I think first and foremost, it's going to go there.
Yeah, you got to stop overspending roughly $2 trillion before anybody else gets a piece of the action.
And so what's going to happen? Like, are we going to start paying our debt back? Like, we're in, $40 trillion that we owe? I don't even know who we owe it to, but is that going to go down eventually, you think?
So have you seen the Democrats on Capitol Hill this week?
Yeah, I mean, they're losing their crap.
They're losing their minds. That's over $50 billion. Now, imagine, Elon said he wanted to cut $1 trillion. Imagine if he gets near that number, what they're going to be doing. So, I'd
be happy. I could care less if they, don't get a good night's sleep for the next 4 years. I'm all for it. Go, Elon. But, I just want it to go to a good use. We stop all this spending, and then, I don't know. Hopefully,
look, I love the way I love the way you're thinking. I do, and I think you're on the right track. And thank you for the call. Any thought? PJ wants to know when we're getting a little slice of this back.
I'm with PJ.
I am too.
I feel like PJ should be we should take PJ to Capitol Hill and just have him ask the questions. So when do we benefit from you doing what you're supposed to do?
Right.
And the answer is you don't. And that's really terrible. But I mean, you think about what he's saying. You have to save $2 trillion to just break even. And then, okay, but like, when are we going to pay down all that debt?
Well, easy there, Trigger.
We got to anything below break even where we can start paying down the debt, but that'll take us like several centuries.
I don't want to play the game of I told you so, but I have been saying for 10 years on my radio show that the best we will ever hope for is to stop adding to the debt. I don't believe that we will ever pay the debt down.
That's probably true.
I think it's too much of a reach.
But I'll tell you where I'm excited right now is somebody like me who's a dorky fiscal conservative. All of a sudden, I'm like, yes, we're coming back.
All of a sudden, everybody that calls you Cameron Romney likes you because you're the nerd with the numbers.
I'm the killjoy who's like, we should stop spending. And I've been saying this, and no one's listened for years.
And now Elon's taking all the credit.
I know. It's hurtful.
52 after the hour on Super Talk. Well, hello, everybody. It's Matt Murphy for the Glock Store. February is a time where you think about doing fun things with the loved one in your life. What about shooting? I mean, if you're on a good relation with your significant other, then maybe you want to go over to the Glock Store and do some shooting. What could be more fun than a couples training session at the incredible Shoot 270 indoor shooting rooms? Now, if your partner is not familiar with Shoot 270, you might have to explain. This is not some lane experience where there's a bunch of other people there that you don't know, and they're popping it off, and you can't talk to one another. You can't communicate. No. You get a private instructor. You get a private room. That means that you can work at your pace. You can go and tailor the session to your need, your current level, your shooting expertise. You can talk amongst yourselves, and whatever level you're at now, you're going to both finish better than you started, more confident and a more proficient shooter. And right now, if you mention my name, 2 shooters for the price of 1, you heard it right. Book it at shoot270.com. Mention my name all February long. You don't have to get this in by Valentine's Day. At the Glock Store, 2 for the price of 1. Minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Glockstore.com or shoot270.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly. who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Newly sworn in Attorney General Pam Bondi has delivered her first directive. We'll go over that with you at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's about 2 minutes until the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One thing I need to clarify, I spoke in a way that I thought everybody understood, but perhaps I misspoke or spoke inartfully. 1063 writes in and says, I didn't know y'all got money from politicians. No wonder you shilled for school choice welfare programs. Our company, Cumulus Broadcasting, receives advertising dollars from a variety of entities. If you hear me talking about a particular advertiser, that means that I personally endorse that product, whether it be Glock Store or Genesis Diamonds or Cover Nash or U.S. Pest or whatever. You will not hear me endorsing a politician. You will not hear me endorsing. I suppose I could, if asked and I believed in it, endorse a campaign position. I think Chris Hand did. I think Chris Hand officially was a spokesperson for the school choice welfare program. We are very upfront about that, but Cumulus Media exists and radio is free based on campaign dollars. And sometimes politicians, when they are are dollars from clients and businesses. And sometimes when politicians are campaigning, they spend money on our radio station.
It's almost like this is a business.
It's like it is a business.
Yeah.
And we try to make money.
You don't just randomly show up here and start talking about what you're thinking?
Do they pay you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Do they?
If I remember to bill them.
Man,
it's a big problem.
Must be nice to have 28 jobs.
That's great.
All right, Ken Weaver's time is next, and we'll get into it with Joe and Graham. Y'all hang in there. I'll make Cameron stay. We're going to talk about euthanasia next on the Matt Murphy Show.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And we still have some pockets of heavy rain out there, but nothing severe. All of it, the heaviest anyway, is north of 40, continues to move east. And we cannot rule out severe weather tonight. Looks like that's going to last up until about 10, at least the potential risk for severe weather until 10 o'clock tonight. Tell you more about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in the nation's capital, newly sworn-in Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered a review of the federal prosecutions of Donald Trump and other directives among her first-day actions. Meanwhile, President Trump signed the executive order banning transgender athletes from female sports.
So we are restoring sanity and common sense very simply to our government. We're defending the rights and safety and pride of the American people, including our great, great, great female athletes. What athletes you are, too. Tell you.
Trump fully expects lawsuits to try to block this executive order, which could withhold federal tax dollars from publicly funded schools, including universities, if they do not follow along with the executive order. Secretary of State Marco Rubio commenting today on President Trump's suggestion that America take over Gaza and relocate the Palestinians to safe areas.
People who call that home will not be able to live there while you have crews coming in and removing debris, while you have munitions being removed, etc. That's the offer that he's made.
Yeah, the president's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, said yesterday it would take 10 to 15 years to rebuild Gaza. Those in America who do not like what has happened in Trump's first days in office are protesting.
There's about 100+ folks here on the steps of the Department of Labor, and it's because there was this scheduled meeting today with representatives of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, that new initiative run by Elon Musk, and staffers at the Department of Labor. We've now learned, according to organizers here, that that meeting has been moved to virtual, but this protest is still very much underway.
That's Jay O'Brien reporting. Meanwhile, an estimated 200 people marched in downtown Nashville today, then on to the state capitol, carrying signs expressing their dislike for President Trump and their wish that Elon Musk get arrested. Also in Tennessee, state lawmakers are going to be debating additional school security measures, like a bill filed today that changes standards for school windows. It requires buildings modeled or built after July 1st, 2023, and before this coming July 1st, install a clear, entry-resistant film on the glass panel of every door and window, even in the basements of school buildings. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane. Then in Rutherford County, a crash blocking the left lane 840 westbound past Bill France Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. Final hour of our Wednesday visit together on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I hope you're well. If you're listening on 99.7, our FM signal. By the way, I meant to mention this at the beginning of the show. I don't know if the signal has been repaired, but we were down a notch or two in the overall power rankings in terms of 100% power. What happened? Have you heard this story about what happened?
Yeah, AC went out apparently.
And apparently the AC unit, because a transmitter generates a lot of heat.
Yeah,
a lot of heat.
Does. It's like a big microwave.
Yeah, there you go. And with all of that heat, you have to cool it down, otherwise it overheats. And apparently the AC unit went out. And when Mike, our incredible chief engineer, went out at 4 o'clock this morning, you want to guess? 106 degrees inside of the transmitter room. That's too hot. That's too hot. So you gotta turn it down to generate less heat, which is what he had to do. And then the AC people came out and they fixed it, and then they left and it broke again like an hour later.
Oh.
And so we're working on it. So if the signal has seemed, dare I say, janky over the course of the day, that is the reason. We'll be back up and running to the full 100,000 watts of blowtorch power any moment now. Now, you can also listen on any variety of apps. You just download us wherever you listen to music or podcast or news or information. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN, and you can take us where you go. And then there's Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Like and subscribe. Ken Weaver?
Yes, sir.
Does it cost anything to like and subscribe us on Supertalk TV?
It doesn't cost a penny.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
Well, there you go.
Might get a callus.
I'm just thinking.
That's okay.
I'm just thinking, is this a microwave? And am I the thing in the microwave?
Yeah. Our little
sweet.
Our little turnstile thing doesn't work either. So you're gonna cook faster on one side.
Cook faster on one side.
Just
cool.
to let you know.
Sweet.
That's just like the beef at Arby's.
I love this. Murphy, you can step. I'm going to read it.
Read it.
Should I read it?
Just do it.
0152. So, we're talking about political advertising, and I screwed it up, and I made it sound like we're. So the company Cumulus is paid to advertise for businesses. That's part of what we do. I mean, and if there are political campaigns that go on, we accept that money as well to run political advertisements. That does not mean that Matt Murphy or Cameron Smith or certainly Ken Weaver over in the newsroom, they stay out of that. Any host endorses any of these candidates, but they are sending their message. They're paying to get their message to you, the listening audience. And then I mentioned, there are some cases where if you hear my voice behind the advertisement, then that does indicate that I'm endorsing said thing. And I mentioned Chris Hand. Mm-hmm. And I love Chris. And so anyway, because Chris was running a spot with the Education Freedom Act and promoting the Education Freedom Act, and he believed in it. And good for him. Murphy, you can step in doo-doo quicker than anybody else I know. This is from the super text line.
It's great.
And I just, anybody that uses the doo-doo terminology.
It's great.
It's great.
But look, I can put two and two together, Matt. All I know is Andy Ogles is lied about $300,000 on his campaign finance reports. And it could go anywhere, envelopes full of money appearing places that, it can happen.
Well, I think that anyone listening to this radio show for any length of time knows that none of those envelopes have been slid under my door.
Amen to that. Yeah. And all kidding aside, that's part of the business, right? And this goes for the written stuff too. The moment somebody's like, hey, I'll give you a little money. Can you say this thing? You have to just say no.
No, man.
If I believe in something and you want to pay me to write about it, I'll say keep your money because I already believe about it. But I don't do the pay to play stuff because it undermines my credibility, and it would undermine yours too.
That's exactly
if somebody said, "Hey, Matt, you don't like me. Here's some money. Do you like me now?"
I've said for years when these types of things come up, the currency that I deal in is my reputation.
Yes, amen.
My authenticity and my honesty is my currency. That's what I deal in.
Yes.
And you can disagree with me till the cows come home and we'll be good. But if you ever believe that I'm saying something for a reason other than an earnest belief in what I'm saying, then I'm done.
Yeah, I don't get mad about
and
much.
And you too.
But the thing that I get mad about is if somebody says, well, you know, you're just writing that position or taking that position because somebody paid you. No, absolutely not. And in fact, whenever I sub in for you, I tell people, here's exactly where I get paid from. Here's what I do.
Yep.
And so if you're curious, I'll tell you. But the pay to say, like that to me, I know people like that, and so does everybody else in the rest of the world, because you can see their positions aren't consistent. They don't care what they say. It's just, you give me money, I'll be loud.
I hear you, and I've heard it, and we know it. All right, so we've exhausted the conversation about USAID. I do want to bring up another conversation regarding something happening in the state of Tennessee, and it might be one of a little bit of controversy. Speaking of controversy, we're going to blame Cameron for it. I know y'all were ready. I'm sorry. I know what I did.
It happens. I was ready, but it can wait.
Can you hold them?
It'll be all right. It'll still be there tomorrow.
It'll keep.
For those who don't know, normally at 5:36, 5:37, we do a little thing called Nincompoops in the News. We were so engaged in our conversation that your host forgot about it. And I apologize. I apologize first and foremost to Chris Weber and Ken Weaver.
Yeah.
Who work tirelessly throughout the day to find the nincompoops that they present to you on a regular basis. Secondarily, I apologize to you, the listening audience. Thirdly, I think I'm owed an apology from Cameron.
Probably. It's really my fault. I got distracted by the light shifting behind you, that there's blue and then purple and then all kinds of other colors back there.
Yeah. I could get you. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
I can get you. I can get you something like this. If you're watching on the old TV, I mean, we could really.
It's getting wild in here, folks. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have a seizure.
Dun 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 dun. It's like a dance club now.
It is. Oh wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Talk Radio on Super Talk 99.7.
Let us talk to. Speaking of Talk Radio, Joe is next up. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Pretty good, Joe.
Hey, I'm a veteran. I got an idea. You can go crew cut for Trump for the hair. But anyway, the thing I wanted to talk to you about was the USAID thing. I have a son that's right now working with the Peace Corps, and his funding just got cut off. That's how effective it is, number one. But, you know, he's a conservative living in a liberal village, and his first response was, it's a shame that his project got stopped because Congress couldn't do their oversight before. So I'll just leave you to speak to that, but this has a lot of effect.
Is he just kind of stuck out? Is he just kind of stuck out there, or what? What happens next, Joe?
Well, he's actually within 90 days of coming back off of his 2-year tour. He actually deferred law school to do that and then come back and go to law school. But he's on the end, and he was about to complete a project, and the funds just got cut.
Do you know how it's funded?
Yeah, it comes through USAID.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And he's doing a health project to add a woman-baby room to the village that he's working with.
Well, we are in the and I look. I mean, there are good organizations. I'm not saying Peace Corps is a valuable organization or not. It seems that you, Joe, feel like, and your son feels like it is a valuable organization. I've not looked enough into it to say one way or the other, but I'll say this, that we are in the egg-breaking stage of making this omelet, and we're going to have to break these eggs, and some good organizations are going to get caught up. Maybe Peace Corps is one of them. Some good things are going to get caught up in the cutting, and we're going to have to add those back in, and I think you have to do it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
And so we're breaking the eggs.
I know there's good programs that are efficient, that work as intended, that have good oversight, that are getting cut. And my response to that is, think of it like a pause, because we'll see, hey, that was a good program. It stopped a lot of people from dying, was a good use of taxpayer funds. Let's do it. And then the rest of it, nobody's there they're like, oh man, we were just burning through this. We better keep our heads down. It'll be gone, and that's good.
Graham is next up with a capper on this subject matter. Hello, Graham.
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Doing fine, Graham. Thank you for calling.
Hey, appreciate the show. Been listening for years. R.I.P. Phil. There'll never be another, but I love you at this time slot.
Oh, man, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that.
So I am a federal employee. This DOGE has affected my job indirectly. My agency has sent down emails every day to say, hey, take the deferred program or your life's going to be hell. Your workload is going to double. I drive 2.5 hours to work in Nashville because I love my job and I'm very good at it, and I work with a great team. However, I have 4 kids. With that being said, I'm looking at a 20-year outlook. I can deal with a little bit of pain. Being in federal government and working and seeing the people that come through there and just have jobs that don't have a brain, I'm okay with slicing the fat. It's going to hurt me for a little bit.
But why would it hurt you? I mean, and I mean this sincerely.
Well, I'm losing my retirement, my benefits by taking the resignation, but I'm at the bottom of the rift. The way even being a 100% disabled veteran, it's going to hurt me just for a little while, but hear me out. I'm okay with it. I'm looking at my kids' future. I've been saying for years they should cut the fat. They should cut funding to probably 20% of these agencies because they just get away with hiring people to fill a slot that don't really do a good job. So I can go find another job. A lot of these people in the federal government can't. I'm okay with it. I'm losing my job, okay, or I'm taking the resignation. I'm okay with that.
But those are two different things, right? Like the resignation is voluntary. Am I wrong?
It is voluntary, but the agencies are sending down letterheads saying your job's not guaranteed, right? So the resignation pays you through September, right?
Yeah, it's like an 8-month, right?
Well, Graham,
it pays you through there.
Can I delicately suggest to you that in the private sector, your job's not guaranteed either?
Yeah, mine's not.
My job's not guaranteed.
Well,
I could get fired today.
Oh yeah, 100% guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
With my skills, my talents, all that, I'm guaranteed to find a job. A lot of these other people aren't. That's why they're throwing a fit.
Well, and I would suggest that part of the problem, and you are not amongst this group, but part of the problem is this mentality that federal jobs are guaranteed.
Yeah.
No, not at all, and shouldn't be.
Right.
A lot of people get vested and they think, well, it takes an act of Congress to kick me out. And
but you're losing. I mean, when you say you're losing your retirement, I guess I don't understand that.
I'm losing because with my military, I sold my time back to the federal government. So this would go on top of my military time, right?
I see what you're. This would be considered added time to your military service.
Right, and in the private sector, you don't get that, but that's fine. I went to work every day ever since I've been out of the Marine Corps. I've gone to work. It doesn't bother me to go to work. A lot of these people, that's what bothers them, is they have to get off the couch, they have to get out of their pajamas and go to work. But a lot of these people are 40-year-old people that they don't have kids, they live at home, they're making killer money, and they don't do anything. So I'm okay with taking this little bit of struggle to go find another job. It's not going to be hard. I'm actually going to take about 3 months off and not do anything except for focus on my family.
That sounds fun.
Try to find a good private sector job.
That does not sound like a struggle.
Yeah, unstruggle, actually.
When I say a struggle, I mean changing course, changing a path to a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, uncertainty is always always scary.
I've been super Trump since the first time. And all my little liberal friends are like, now what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to be fine.
But what, I mean, you sound like the type of civil servant that the federal government would want to keep.
I don't have the time and grade or it's hard to explain. When I talk to a federal lawyer, the way they explained it to me is you'd be better off to take the buyout.
I mean, do you think you're going to get let go if you don't? Is that
100%.
Are they kind of insinuating
100%.
that?
Either that or they're going to centralize our offices to where I would have to relocate my family, and my kids go to a super awesome, high-graded school, and I don't want to do that either. So
if they're going to relocate the central offices, I would be in Atlanta, and that's nowhere I want to live.
Well, Graham, first I want to say thank you for your service in the United States Marine Corps.
100%.
I appreciate that. Secondarily, and that was the sweet. Here comes a little bit of the bitter. You know, welcome to what the private sector deals with every day, because every day in the private sector, companies say, hey, we're going to consolidate our business, and you have an option of moving to Atlanta or staying in Nashville and taking another job somewhere else, not here.
Yeah,
So,
Bridgestone just let a bunch of people off in Laverne.
You know, and you seem to be receiving that very well, and you seem to be ready to go because you know that you've got a hell of a lot of value in you.
Yeah.
And you're going to be just fine, and that is a superior attitude, man.
No, 100%. And I wish that everybody in the federal government had that value, and we wouldn't have this issue. If everybody had the job they deserved and worked hard, we wouldn't be overspending on employees that are sitting on the couch working 3 hours a day but claiming 40 hours a week.
I think you'll. I think a couple of things. One, I think you're the type of guy we want working in the federal government, and I hate to see us lose you because you have the right kind of attitude, the can-do approach to getting the job done. Secondarily, I think you're going to perform really well in the private sector, Graham.
I've had a couple people reach out. I think I'll do okay.
You're
I just wanted to throw that out there. So I know a lot of people think, oh, federal workers, they're garbage, and there's a lot of federal workers like, oh, I can't believe I voted for Trump. Hey, I'm all for it. And bring Elon in. He didn't get to be a multi-billionaire by being an idiot. I think he will help this country.
Well, I agree. Don't tell that to AOC, though. Thank you, Graham, for the call. AOC said he was the stupidest billionaire she's ever known.
Okay. Sweet.
23 after the hour. Coming back, we will talk about a bill that is before the Tennessee General Assembly that would offer Tennesseans the right to die. We'll do that next on Super Talk.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
A shooting at a Nashville KFC has turned deadly, and the manhunt is over after one of Tennessee's most wanted was found hiding in a cave in Middle Tennessee. We've got these stories in the day's closing money news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, yes, indeed. There's Ken Weaver. Man, oh, man. On fire today, Weaver.
The way he says Super Talk is the best. Super Talk.
Super Talk.
Like that.
I say he did it, but try it.
Super Talk.
I'm gonna try.
Brother Cameron.
I'm gonna try a Weaverism too. You ready? Yes. Yeah,
That's good.
Good afternoon, boys. Yeah.
What do you say?
That's good.
Hey, when you're in front of the master, you'd go ahead and give him the pebble because you're not going to be able to take it out of his hand. Ken Weaver's coming up in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Webber's here too, and there's Cameron Smith. He's hanging out. Matt Murphy with you as well. All right. I think I'll go to David, and then we'll crank up the conversation of right to die because there's a bill that is in front of the Tennessee legislative session. It has been presented by a Democrat. And I believe that this Democrat has offered this bill on a couple of occasions, and it would offer the opportunity for Tennessee residents to, under certain circumstances, have a right to terminate their life. And those circumstances would involve terminal illness. And I want to talk about this in just a moment with Cameron Smith, right after we talk with David in Lawrenceburg. Hey, David.
Hello.
How are you, David?
Yep. You hear me? I'm great. I just want to chime in about the young man that called in. We need more attitudes like that in this country. I'm retired now, soon be 71. My father was raised in Depression, World War II guy. He always taught me to learn your trade or whatever you're doing, your profession. This guy has got it going on. If you, 80% of the people that are good at what they do, they're not worried about a secure employment. And the guys and the girls they're working in the government that need a secure employment, that tells me they're not worth the crap and they can't make it in business.
You know what? It reminds me of something that my grandpa told me, David. Thank you for the call, and I've got to scoot along. I got to get to Ken Weaver's newscast here. But my grandpa, smartest man I ever met in my life, I don't think he graduated the 8th grade. Still, smartest man I ever met in my life. Told me one time, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. A lot of things that my grandfather told me when I was a kid did not make a lot of sense when I was a kid. They make a lot of sense now. My grandfather told me, if a man who wants to work will. And that is the end of the sentence. That's it. A man who wants to work will. Period. It's time for Ken Weaver. He's doing some work with the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Right now, looking at radar, we still have some areas of heavy rain, but it's broken up quite a bit. It's still all north of I-40, but it has moved off to the east. So right now, the heaviest rain in Middle Tennessee I'm looking at is just east of Gallatin. That does not mean we're out of the woods for the risk of severe weather. That lasts until about 10 o'clock tonight. Tell you more about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. A suspect is in custody after a shooting at the Germantown KFC this afternoon. Metro Police arrived to find one person with serious injuries who has since died. Jimmy Cox, no longer a wanted man, just a few hours after being put on TBI's Most Wanted. The 39-year-old was found hiding in a cave in the area of Smiley Hollow Road in Robertson County. This after he had been on the run since his stepson was found dead with stab wounds. Money News, Michelle Franzen.
Stocks ended the day higher thanks to some gains and losses within the tech sector. The Dow added 317 points, the S&P gained 24. After some ups and downs, the Nasdaq ended up 38 points. The rising Dow was led by chip maker NVIDIA, which got a boost after Google's parent company Alphabet said it plans to ramp up spending on artificial intelligence. At the same time, Alphabet's stock sank on a strong quarterly profit report because cloud revenue fell short of forecasts. Mattel stock surged 15% after beating analysts' forecasts for profit in the latest quarter. Amazon-owned Whole Foods is asking the National Labor Relations Board to set aside the results of a Philadelphia union election that led to a labor win. Attorneys allege interference. UFCW Local 1776 calls the company's allegations baseless.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, we have picked up a crash in Madison, 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. That's going to be exit 92. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Listen, folks, Stoltz Co. can provide you an incredible opportunity if you have land and you're looking to do something with your land and or your money to make your land more valuable, or if you need space. And I'm talking about a pole barn. I'm talking about a garage. I'm talking equestrian or event space or a barn dominium. Stoltz Co. is the leading company in Middle Tennessee and beyond in first-class customer service in the creation of post-frame buildings. That's a fancy way of saying barn dominiums, pole barns, garages, equestrian spaces, event spaces, and so much more. I invite you. You just can't, as much as I try, I cannot verbalize the special quality of these spaces. You need to go see them yourself at stoltzco.com. If you want somewhere to hang out on the weekends, if you want a future home, if you've got in-laws that eventually will need to move a little closer to you, you want a home to retire in, or you're just looking for a space to have fun in, you need to go to Stoltzco. Go to stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com. To see this is to love it, and you will make the call that so many others have made to Stoltzco. 615-622-5992. 622-5992 for Stoltzco. I know I've teased a pretty heavy topic here at the end of the show in terms of right to die, but I'm actually going to, since we have Cameron Smith on these Wednesdays with us, and of course Chris Webber's here every day, Matt Murphy's here every day, Ken Weaver's here every day. Cameron's sometimes here when I'm not here.
Yeah, it's weird.
And, but I think I might make it a little more of a dealer's choice situation here because I've got a couple of topics that I think are pretty good.
Okay.
I've got one involving Camping World and the American flag.
Yeah.
I've got the right to die topic. And those are really the two big. I mean, we could talk some immigration stuff, but do you want to do Camping World, the U.S. flag? I think we should do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we're too late on the right to die. Because, I mean, I would like for you and I to have a good conversation because you and I have two personal experiences that I think can lend to the conversation. It's a little
more of a serious topic, too.
Yeah.
So we can put a pin in it.
You know what I mean?
That one's not going anywhere.
No, but there's a lot. I mean, and I'll just give you the basic details. We won't delve into it too deeply, but the basic details are that a Democrat, I mean, I don't know that this law is going anywhere, by the way. A Tennessee lawmaker, Democrat, is pushing to give terminally ill patients the right to end their own lives on their own terms. Representative Bob Freeman, whom Chris Webber reached out to, and we've offered him an opportunity to come on the show and talk about his bill. And I actually told Webber, and he did that. I said, look, tell him I am in general agreement with this legislation because a lot of times if Democrats get invited to come on talk radio, they think you're going to yell at them.
Well, but, you know who has the bill in the Senate?
Who?
Who? Heidi Campbell.
Gotcha. I'm going to get Weber tomorrow to reach out to Heidi Campbell.
And that
we should get Belle to do it because she responds to Belle's texts. Like it's funny. Since Heidi invited herself out of our studio, which is the way that I put it, I didn't kick her out of anything. She said, I'm not going to sit here and be lied to. And she said, I'm not going to sit here and be called a liar. And I said, well, I'm going to stop you calling you a liar because you are, so you're welcome to leave. She won't respond to my text anymore. It's like I don't exist. But she responds to Bell. Like he texts her.
There's no other legislator that I get quite as heated on social media with than her. Because, and in fairness, I like Democrats that go full send on their positions, and she does.
That's why I want Gloria Johnson on the show so bad. I would love, if y'all know the big one over there.
Not helping yourself.
That's hurtful.
I'm so sorry. She's tall.
Did you see?
She's a tall drink of water.
And you got to be one of the only people that wants her on because I saw the elections and they definitely did not want her.
Somebody, wait, what was the movie? There's a great movie. It's called Tangled. It's an animated film. There's a scene in the movie. Well, somebody go get me a glass because I have just found a tall drink of water. That's Gloria Johnson. Yes, I would love to have Gloria. She's a tall woman.
Have you had any of the Tennessee Three on?
Mm-mm. I've invited all three, but they have thus far pretended like my invitations don't exist. Anyway, Bob Freeman is a Democrat. We've invited him on the show. He's sponsoring the legislation that would legalize medically assisted death in the state of Tennessee. A very heavy topic, and I don't want to leave you with that heavy of a topic. This one, a little bit different. We've also invited this gentleman on the show. His name is Marcus Lemonis. Marcus is the CEO of Camping World. Now, I am aware of Marcus Lemonis' past. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I certainly hope I'm doing so. I don't think it's Lemonis. I think it would be Lemonis. Marcus is the CEO that heard about Donald Trump and Charlottesville in 2017 and disinvited any Trump supporters that agree with Trump's position to Camping World. In other words, he said, if you agree with Trump, you can stay home. And apparently a lot of people took him up on it. He also claims, he apologized later, saying that he relied on third-party reporting to give him the information, and that was wrong, and that he should have gotten the full information before he made a comment. In other words, he said he shut off his mouth before he had all the facts.
Sure.
And so I'll give him forgiveness for that. That's fine. In this, I think I agree with him. So have you seen the Camping World over on Bradley Parkway?
I've seen
what I'm talking about?
I think I've seen this
You've
flag.
seen this one in Sevierville?
It is a large
It's a big
flag.
boy. It's a big boy.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we are a nation of laws.
We are.
And so I understand that the position I'm about to take is one of civil disobedience.
Yeah.
But I don't give a crap what Sevierville's ordinance says.
Mm-hmm.
So they built a camping world in Sevierville along I-40 at exit 407 to be precise in Kodak. And along with their camping world, they have it's a pretty standard operating procedure that they put up a large flagpole. In this case, 130 feet. And how big is the flag? It's like
40 by 80.
That's 40 feet.
40
by 80 feet.
By 80 feet.
That's a big old American flag.
It is.
See that from space. So on January 30th, the city of Sevierville sent a letter to Camping World notifying the business that its 130-foot flagpole violated the city's zoning ordinance for arterial commercial zones, which only permit a 44-foot tall flag. Man, they just barely missed it. They just barely.
It is nearly 15 times bigger.
They barely missed it. I mean, 44 feet, 130. We thought we were within the margin. So they sent a letter from the Department of Code Enforcement telling him that that he has to take the flagpole down. They had originally denied him the permit to put it up, and they put it up anyway.
Yes.
And Marcus Lemonis responded by saying, "Dear Sevierville, Tennessee, the flag and flagpole aren't coming down. It's currently our standard flagpole, 130 feet. Flag is 40 by 80. We're excited to continue to send all the new tax revenue from the $20 million facility we built in your town on former farmland."
Yeah. The fine is $250 a day, which isn't insignificant, but the marketing value alone to be telling Sevierville to go pound sand
just go to hell.
Totally worth it.
I'm going to fly the American flag. This is America. I'm going to fly the American flag.
Yeah. I've dealt with a minor version of this within my own neighborhood where people are like, well, someone constructed a flagpole and that flag, that's a big flag, and it's America.
Yeah.
And there are very few. Now, if you're putting up a flag of your face or something weird, if it's the American flag, I'm just not going to get too upset about it. Like that one to me, if you tell me that, okay, that one's huge. Like I get that. But okay. I mean, it's not where it's located is not in like somebody's neighborhood.
Sevierville is like pretty close to Pigeon Forge, right?
Yeah.
Well, as noted on Super Talk TV, Pigeon Forge, they have like the Titanic over there, right?
Yeah.
They got like all the fun and the games and the tourism and the saltwater taffy.
Yeah, a lot of that. Some beef jerky too.
The big wax museum with the giant Godzilla hanging on, or the
Godzilla?
No, not Godzilla. King Kong hanging off the side.
And this is our biggest problem in Sevier County is the American flag is too big.
I feel like I would fight this fight for my entire life.
Yes.
I would just be. This feels like Footloose, but with a flag.
So this is one of those deals where, okay, fine, Sevier County and the city of Sevierville, they are right in terms of they passed an ordinance. They did it for a reason. But unless you come at me with, hey, if this flagpole stays up, people are going to die as a result, you're going to lose the public relations battle here.
Every time.
Give it up.
You're probably going to find people that are willing to pay the fine for Camping World.
I would do it. I mean, if we get Lemonis on, because I sent him
you should pay for a day.
I'd pay for a day. And that's what he should do. Like do sponsored days. And hey, it's Matt Murphy Day at Camping World.
Idea.
Matt Murphy's paying for the flag today.
They just come over the PA,
yeah,
and announce it to the store.
Right, once amazing. A couple times a day. Hey, we would once again like to thank
today's sponsor of the
Chris
flag.
Weber of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris, thank you for sponsoring our American flag today. God bless America.
Count me in. We got 2 days of American flag sponsorships right here at Camping World.
Oh, see, Lemonis needs to come on. We've got a good idea for it.
That's the way to go because this is the type of stuff where I think we should have these flashpoints. And I think that Sevierville should get a call from Dolly Parton who says, why do you hate America? And then they'll approve it and it'll be fine. And that, to me, is the kind of way that you solve these things is you don't stop enforcing the law or your rules. You just say, these are dumb, stop.
So Dolly stuff's over there, right?
Yeah.
That's where Dolly stuff is. So you're telling me the city of Sevierville, home of Dolly Parton, is complaining about something being too big?
Yeah. Way outside of regulations.
It took you a second. I saw you.
I got it right off the bat.
It took Weber a second. I had to give the whole.
I'm thinking roller coasters.
Oh, come on, man.
When I think Dolly Parton, I think roller coasters.
I don't.
Who is this guy back here? Not sure it's safe to have him behind me.
I love every aspect of this story because as much as you come at me telling me the city is right, that's fine and well and good. And they're going to lose. They're going to lose.
I would just get a big sword and be like, freedom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Come on, let's go.
I mean, they may as well give it up. But, man, oh, man, we got to get him on. This is a great idea.
Yeah.
Sponsor days and just, once again, like Weber, I forget who said it, but over the loudspeaker. Just, yeah. Thank you.
Mail flags to the city of Sevierville.
Love every bit of it. You know what it reminds me? This happened, and I'm not comparing the situations, but we did this as a radio station in Birmingham. It was before our FM side. We were on the AM only, and we had a deployed soldier in Afghanistan. It was practice that if a soldier requested a flag to fly over their camp in Afghanistan, that the state of Alabama would send them a flag so that they could fly the flag over Afghanistan and keep the flag as, a part of their service in the National Guard. And when Robert Bentley became governor of the state, I think some low-level flunky was trying to cut budgets, or maybe he was too worried about getting handsy with his chief of staff. If you know the story, you know. And so this guy called and they said, the state of Alabama said, no, we will not send a National Guard soldier in service to his country in Afghanistan a flag of Alabama. And so we as a radio station found, I think the biggest one we could find was like 20 by 10. And we took it around and had people sign it, like Alabamians sign it. We took it to various businesses and we signed the entire flag and we sent it to him. And he flew it over the base. And eventually, obviously, they had tremendous egg on their face. The governor's office did, and they apologized. And
That's how you do it. Jennifer on the Super Talk text line, she's in for a day. I mean, we're
going to have 3 days already.
We're going to have this covered pretty fast.
We're going to have the whole year before you know it. I absolutely love it. Well, if y'all are on the X machine, tell Marcus Lemonis he needs to come on the Matt Murphy Show and accept our generous offer of at least 3, maybe more days of paying the fine for him. $250 a day?
Yeah.
We can make that. It is 9 until the top of the hour. We'll wrap it up next on Super Talk. All right, friends, Defense Systems, a life safety and security consultation firm, is based right here in Middle Tennessee, and they want to see you. Their clients include schools, corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing facilities, corporate headquarters, entertainment venues, and even country music tours. If you are a decision maker regarding security in any of those arenas, please listen up because you need the specialization that Defense Systems offers. Cumulus Nashville utilized this training program for all of our personnel. It's where I met Brink Fiddler. It's why I talk about him on a regular basis. They provide custom protection solutions unique to your particular location and or your particular security issue. They've trained I don't know how many Middle Tennessee schools, and if your child has not received this training yet, you need to ask about it as well. The training is more than just checking a box, friends. It is real-world training in a dangerously developing world. I like to say hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defense Systems. Reach out today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484. Go to defensesystems.com. Tell them I sent you to Defense Systems.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
I love the listening audience of this radio station. I love every single one of you, even if you don't like me. People are texting Marcus, I should say, posting to Marcus, tweeting him, as we used to call it. Hey, Marcus, Matt Murphy has invited you on his show on 99.7 to discuss the flag situation. Best radio in the area. Smiley face, smiley face. Well, that's very nice. Please accept the invitation to go on the Matt Murphy show, smiley face. And then this one's my favorite. Hey, Sevierville, why do you hate America?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's the way you do it.
That's exactly right. At Camping World, at Marcus Lemonis, at Matt Murphy Show. Way to go, Trashville. I absolutely love it. Hey, by the way, today is the sad anniversary of Toby. We were just talking about country music.
Toby Keith.
And Toby Keith died a year ago today. Sad.
Yeah. I mean, that guy, let's be honest, after 9/11, like, that dude single-handedly made me excited to be an American.
See, I felt some people are trepidatious around that.
I'm not.
Because, I mean, I'm not either, but they're trepidatious in as much as was that, I feel like it was earnest. I feel like it was heartfelt. I feel
American.
That's exactly what America was feeling like. Some people feel like, you're making money on the tragedy.
No, it was, I felt that way, and he gave voice to this, like, the American way, man.
Dang right.
And, then we watched Joe Biden in Afghanistan, and that was the end of that.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, comedy of errors. So favorite Toby Keith then? Favorite Toby, that one?
Yeah.
Besides that one.
What's the Should Have Been a Cowboy?
Should Have Been Cowboy's good.
I like that one.
I Love This Bar's good. I mean, good as I once was. I know it's it's ear candy.
Mm-hmm.
It's country pop ear candy, but I can't not like it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my favorite, which doesn't get any radio play, is Weed with Willie. Have you heard Weed with Willie?
I don't think I have.
Have you never heard Weed with Willie? Have you heard Weed with Willie?
I don't think I have.
Oh, you got to listen to
I will do that tonight.
I think I can quote it. I always heard that his herb was top shelf, but I just couldn't wait to find out for myself. Well, don't knock it till you've tried it, and I've tried it, my friend, and I'll never smoke weed with Willie again. That's the opening lyric.
That's
and then it
awesome.
goes on from there. All right. Raise a red solo cup to Toby Keith, who passed away a year ago. Thank you, Cameron.
No problem, man.
Thank you, Chris Weber.
Sure.
Thank you, Ken Weaver, wherever you are. And thank you to all of you. We'll do it again tomorrow. A Thursday edition cranks up. We have David Kustoff is coming on the show, Congressman Kustoff, who is actually meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. I accidentally told Scott Desjardins that he was meeting, and Scott Desjardins was very confused. That was on me. But Kustoff will join us amongst others. Thank you for being around. Mark Levin. Well, no, it's someone for Mark Levin is coming up next. Until next time, have a great evening, folks. So long, everybody.